The views and opinions expressed by the host do not necessarily state or reflect those of the guests. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily state or reflect those of the host. I'm a stupid robot.
Give it up for the funny, the hilarious. Clean up the open micers and the one-liners. Alonzo Cantu.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure if it's safe to report from my vantage point. I really need to leave. So the fences inform me that the surrounding areas are in ruin. I see some people running now. In the opinion of this reporter, if this nation, or in fact the world, ever needed heroes, that time is now. That time is now.
motherfuckers. It's the Ace Man, and I am live and direct once again. The year of our Lord, 2024. It is September 7th. That's right.
Ace.
And we will never forget what happened on the day of September 7th. Yes, that's the right. We met our new friend of the show, Deece Casillas.
Ace.
Podcaster extraordinaire, comic booker extraordinaire, new friend of the show. We have lots of plans. I have lots of questions for him. Let us know in the chat what you want to ask Mr. Deece Casillas.
There we go.
And then also, we have coming up later in the show on the phone, the fucking Lizardman. That's right. The Lizardman has confirmed a call-in on the Bad First Impression show. This is the first time that we've ever had a Lizardman on the show before. He is a legend. You probably have seen this face growing up on Scholastic Book Fair books, Ripley's Believe It or Not, Guinness Book of World Records, on all the TV shows. Every time they wanted to do something about piercing, or if they wanted to do something about extreme people, it was always the Lizardman. He was always there in our hearts and in our minds, and he's going to be on the phone lines later on. So if you have a question, you type it in the chat. I'm writing it down. I got a list of Lizardman questions, hopefully questions he has not been asked before. If he has been asked, he doesn't act too annoyed with us, all right? But that is later in the show. He should be calling in at 1. You need to give me his number so I can call him if anything, goes awry. So that should be happening later on in the hour. But right now, who we have on right now? The one, the only Mr. Deece Casillas.
Hey, what is up, guys? Just for clarification also, and this is not your fault, it happens all the time. It's just one syllable, Deece.
Is Deece Casillas?
Just one syllable, yeah. It's all right. It happens. It's more often than not. Just like Deece Nuts. It's the easiest way to remember it.
Yeah, so this is kind of embarrassing for me. I don't know why. I thought you were a female until just yesterday.
Well, I could be. It's 2024. I can be whatever I want today. Tomorrow I might be a donkey. Today I'm a female. I get to choose.
Yeah, no, it's the fucking. But here's the stupid thing. I've made a flyer with your name on it. I did Ryan Herrera's. You went Takes Pizza, right?
I did do Tank's Pizza.
I made the flyer for that. So I've taken your picture before. I've cropped your picture. I had to do your font so it fit on the fucking flyer and all that. I should know you. I shouldn't, but I was like,
that's all right.
Who's this broad that wants to be on the show? I don't know. I don't know if I want to bring some smelly broad in my house.
Yeah, who wants a girl at their house? Gross.
Smelly snail trails. Chat's already blowing up for the Lizardman. Zandy Ramirez, Jinzy doesn't know the true legends, but we're going to teach him. If you have a man, woman, or child that doesn't know the Lizardman, I want you to sit them in front of the TV screen or your iPhone or whatever you got. Around 1 p.m. Central Time, we have the Lizardman on the phones. We're going to ask him the pressing questions, all the questions that people have been dying to ask the Lizardman. But right now in studio we have Deece Casillas. I don't know. Hey, so you are a man that wears many hats, sir.
That is true. Currently, this one LA hat, but I have others.
Very good. Yes. Many hats.
Ace.
Oh, I like this. Let me move this up, though. This is pretty cool. I'm using my pencil to press buttons now, and I feel very official.
There you go.
I might probably press this over
Less
here.
work.
Let me hit some other buttons. We've already used these buttons. Let me see what other buttons I got. I got to get some buttons for the Lizardman because I got to move these to the end. That would be smart. What do we got for the Lizardman? I don't know if I got anything for the Lizardman. I got this one for later. Sam Haney is deep in Trump derangement syndrome. He's posting articles about how the Kremlin owns all the right-wing YouTubers. So
bad boy.
Yeah, he's a bad boy. Fucking, I was like, I want some of that money. I have a whole thing about that. We'll talk about that later. But I guess that's all we got for the Lizardman. I wanted to add, if we get him in studio, I have some clips I'm going to add for the Lizardman from cryptid shows about the South Carolina Lizardman.
See if he's been caught on film. If you can you actually film the Lizardman, or is it like Bigfoot where he's just kind of blurry? It's just like a blob and going back into the jungle. And you're like, was that Lizardman? Was that him?
He's a modern day cryptid. Very, very. See, I like that you're picking up what I'm putting down. We're simpatico, and I already like this relationship. So you're a comic. You're a podcaster. You do comic books. So you're a comedian, and a comic booker.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, let's say no. You book comics, but you also write comic books.
I do that too.
All right, there you go. You do everything. You work both sides of the equation. It's always coming up Deece. So this comic book you're coming out with, what's it called?
It's called Kill Stan.
Kill Stan. That's a fucking badass ace kind of name. Kill Stan. I was looking at the Kickstarter. Has that released yet, or did it already get funded and it's on its way?
Kickstarter goes live in, I think, 8 days, something like that. September 15th. It'll be live. It'll be running for 30 days. So you can search Kill Stan and it'll pop up. You can support it. You get lots of cool rewards, some exclusive variant covers, things like that. You can follow us on Inferno.Earth too. That's the publishing company. The comic book company is Inferno Comics. So Inferno.Earth on Instagram, Facebook, and that is our website also, Inferno.Earth. There's no .com anymore. Those have all been taken. You can't buy those. They're gone, okay? They're like, women with good looks who cook and clean. They're gone. They're done. It's old news.
And speaking of that, check us out at badfirstimpressions.com. So it's Infernal.Earth?
Inferno.Earth is the website. That's the
Earth.
Yeah, Inferno Comics is the name of the publishing company.
It's beautiful.
That's my company. We'll be putting out Kill Stan. We've got other stuff coming soon.
Coming soon. Kill Stan, coming soon. Get your motherfucking stunny out, motherfuckers. It's a ST kind of fucking way to be. I like that shit. So, Kill Stan. Is it a one shot, or is this a part of a series that you're doing?
It is a 10-issue miniseries. So it's got a beginning, middle, and end, and then we'll be moving on to the next project. So that is the first project coming out, 10 issues. It's all written, ready to go. First issue is done. We're just doing the Kickstarter to get it out to people and start working on number 2.
Okay, very cool. So, Deece, did you draw this? Did you write it? Did you produce it? What's your...
I created and wrote this thing. I did a lot of art, I would say art direction. I did some breakdowns, some basic sketches, thumbnails and stuff, a lot of the breakdowns for the panels. But I have a fabulous artist, Felipe Sobrera. He's doing the actual art for it. He's a better artist than I am, and he can do it in a fraction of the time that it would take me to do it, what he could do. So I just don't have the time for that type of thing. Yeah, I've got too many other hats I got to wear. It takes time to change all these hats. So
let me just try to pull this up real quick. So we got Inferno.Earth, right?
Yeah, the website's still being built. You can find us on Instagram's our main thing though. So
okay, and how do people follow you on Instagram?
Just Inferno.Earth. That's it.
Very good.
That's the Instagram handle.
I love it. And so this is your first comic book project.
It is, yeah. It's my first comic book project officially being done. I've published books before. I've written a bunch of things over the years. But this is the first comic book. Finally been wanting to do it forever, and finally just took the time to make it happen.
So what can you tell us about Kill Stan without spoiling anything?
Kill Stan is I would call it a neo-noir crime thriller. It is basically the elevator pitch is suicide by vigilantism. Stan's a loser with nothing to live for, and so he decides to go out with a bang, quite literally. Armed with only a cheap Halloween mask and a penchant for violence and the desire to die, he goes out into his barrio to try to settle some scores, and lasts a little longer than he thought he would, and soon is caught between selfishly wanting to die and a neighborhood that can't survive without him.
Oh, very interesting. So, okay, very good. I think that's a great pitch. It's I think I already understand what's going on there. So, Stan's a loser. Do we find out why he's a loser in the first issue, or is that kind of part of his backstory?
You do not. Not in the first issue, anyway.
Very good. Tell us more about Stan. I just remembered something.
Oh, he just remembered he's supposed to work today. He's leaving. He's getting in his car. He's gone. Okay, well, I'm going to steal his cat. No, he, I just wanted you to get the full experience here.
Exactly.
I'm not sure what just happened, but we're getting the full experience now.
Added the second purple light.
Oh, the second purple light. Oh, good. Yeah.
I didn't want to put the second one on and waste the electricity until I knew this was going to be an amazing interview.
I do feel like I'm in a good Prince music video now. It's nice.
Oh, yeah.
We don't find out why Stan is loser in the first issue, and I will say this. I think less is more sometimes. We'll put it that way. So sometimes it's better.
Maybe we never know why Stan's a loser. We saved that for
do.
issue 11.
Yeah, maybe we never do. So there's you sometimes leaving things to the imagination helps the mind want. So it's like like let's take Star Wars. That's pretty ubiquitous. People all have heard of the Star Wars. It was better when we only had the first 3 movies and we didn't know all the other stuff. It was more interesting, right? Because then they made all this stuff and it wasn't very good. So now you're stuck with like, well, now I know, but it was a pretty shitty no. So sometimes just that less is more. Just your mind wandering is part of the allure.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. So I'm glad that have you printed out any issues of this yet? When is it going to print? When can I get my hands on a copy of Kill Stan? I want to read this.
Yeah, the Kickstarter go live 9/15. We'll be able to get people issues very quick.
9/15?
Yeah, from September 15th to October 15th is the Kickstarter. And then for people who are local in San Antonio, you'll be able to get your issues. September 15th, October 15th.
Yeah, I got that. What time does it go live?
I think it probably goes live at probably midnight, I assume, on the 15th. Okay. Probably as soon as it turns the 15th, it'll be live. And local people will be able to get there. If they want to pick them up, they can get their issues immediately. I'll have them. I'll have some before that, and then we're really doing the Kickstarter to get the big print run, and then also to start working on number 2. So
when can people? It's as soon as the 15th they can get their copies if they're local.
If you're local, yeah. I mean, I'll meet up with people and get. Well, am I going to be in town October 15th? Pretty quickly after. I mean, I'll have them immediately where people can get them.
This is getting shadier and shadier. It's like,
I might
have them that day.
I might be in a different country.
I'll be out there doing cocaine and celebrating all the money I made.
My name isn't even Deece Casillas, so this is going to be.
Have we tried to work in something with Kill Tony yet?
Kill Tony? No, we've not done that. Too much crossover there.
So I can't wait. So September 15th, that's coming up really soon. That's going to be,
I think, 8 days from now.
Yeah, man. Maybe we should have done something. Well, we can always do something. Maybe we should call in next episode and just remind everybody, because I can't wait for the Kill Stan. And it's going to be issue 1. How soon is issue 2 coming out? Do you have it all staggered out? Are you seeing how good people like issue 1?
It's going to be, I mean, we are going to do issue numbers. We're going to do the 10 issues no matter what. I think I'm pretty confident that as soon as people read this, they're going to be into it and want more. I've been a comic book fan my entire life. I've definitely been a student of the industry and the ups and downs and what people are into, and great writers and bad writers. I think they're going to love this. So we're confident people are going to want it. I think the next issue will start probably in November, because we're going to wait till this first Kickstarter gets done with, and then it should be out around the first of the year. We'll have the next issue out.
Well, fantastic. And I'll make sure to put up a bunch of stuff so people can find out where to follow this dude for more updates. So that's awesome. And so we were talking earlier before the show started. You've been doing a podcast for 10 years.
Yeah, my one podcast I've been doing, since we launched in July of 2014, The Social Hour. We're damn near 500 episodes now. I've been doing it weekly for 10 years. 10 years into podcasting, which is crazy to think. Who knew this was not a career?
So where can people find that?
My website, deececomedy.com. I post on, our socials, The Social Hour Comedy on Facebook, my Instagram, deece.comedy, or wherever your finer podcasts are available for free. Mine's on there.
And it's called The Social Hour.
The Social Hour. Yep.
Fantastic, man. So everybody go check out, like and subscribe to Social Hour. And What do you usually talk about? What's the format on that?
It's evolved a lot over the years. It used to be more of a kind of I'd say like more like a morning talk show, like radio show. It was me. I had a news anchor. I had a producer. We'd have guests in. We had segments. We had bits. And then COVID kind of ruined that. So it's been. It became just a very virtual one-on-one interviews. And then I moved to Texas, and I haven't set up my new studio yet. So I'd like to, we will, but it's still just one-on-ones now with I get a myriad of different guests. I do a lot of comic book creators. I do a lot of pretty much anything I'm interested in. As we were talking earlier, I do a lot of work with the Libertarian political party. So I get their presidential candidates on every year, which is nice. Just whatever I want to talk about.
I get Trump on almost every week.
Do you? That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's supposed to call in later, but I think he's going to sleep in. Apparently, he hasn't been handling the election shit very well.
No Kamala, huh? You can't get Kamala?
Dude, I don't know. He calls me like at weird fucking times and shit, and it's like, Alonzo. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I don't want to get into it. He'll talk about that shit. But so I mean, I don't even know if that's even a brag, honestly. But he does call in a lot. Then he calls in after the show, and I'm like, hey, the show's over, Trump.
Yeah.
I know, but I thought we can just talk about things.
Yeah, at least he's got the time. He's got the time right now. When he's running the country again, it's going to be tougher for him to be able to call in.
Aren't you busy? No, I'm not doing anything important. All good.
He's just hanging out in Mar-a-Lago, hiding confidential papers and shit.
So who is the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party recently? I know Zandy Ramirez is probably interested in this.
Chase Oliver is the presidential candidate this cycle.
Yeah. You got a chance?
No chance. Libertarians never have a chance. Come on. They're the political monster of the two-party system. I mean, the Democrats are literally suing Chase Oliver in many states to keep him off the ballot. That's how
suing
Democratic.
Him for what?
Good question. I don't know. Same reason they fucking press charges against Trump. They're weaponizing the justice system in any way they can.
Did he pay off a hooker?
No, they were him and Jill Stein, the presidential candidate for the Green Party. They're trying to keep them off the ballot in many states so they don't lose votes to them.
Yeah, the Democrats really love to win. It's you can't really fault them for that. They'll stuff ballots, they'll steal stuff, they'll kill people. Yeah. It's very gangster of them, honestly. If we're watching a TV show, we'd be like rooting for the Democrats. We'd be like, oh shit, I hope fucking Kamala can kill that other person before.
Right. They're like the Peaky Blinders of the political party.
Multiple affairs. That'd be dope. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You wants to take care of it, Mrs. Kamala's.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'd watch that show, but my God, it doesn't seem great for my taxes. It seems like it's not doing well on my taxes or my civil liberties.
So do you think it is the funny thing is that I know that a lot of every time the election comes around, that people that are into the Democrats, or I guess just against the Republicans, are always like the Russians have like this influence on all these right wing social influencers, I guess, either with podcasts or just anything like that. Do you think that's true, or do you think that's just fear tactics, fear baiting?
I think that's true in a sense. I think the Russians definitely have their fingers into a lot of our media and social media. I think that's been proven, actually. The Russian troll farms on Facebook and stuff like that. So
I can't have Russian fans. Now it's illegal to have some a couple 100,000 Russian fans that all work at the same factory and shit. That's illegal now.
Yeah, they're all
they can't listen to Alonzo Cantu and shit. And people need to go start looking into my fucking finances.
Someone's got to make the brown robes for all the communists. Yeah, it's like they just make your gray robes and potatoes. Here they are.
Hey, and all I want to say is that if there's any fucking money that's going out there to people that are spreading anti-American propaganda, I should be getting the fucking biggest check out of them all. Because Alonzo Cantu is here for Mr. Putin, the Kremlin, fucking Moscow, the people, the proud people of Russia, Ukraine. Hey, if you get the money, you can come talk to me too. But I think Russia's already apparently got a fucking network involved and shit. So, speaking of that, I got a Cash App right there, buddy. You just leave it with a Russian flag, and then all is known, all is well. And if you want to send me over there and give me some Russian secrets and shit, I'll fucking keep them secret. You know, you don't want to tell me what the nuclear launch codes are. We can talk about that over some drinks. I ain't gonna tell nobody. God bless Russia.
They're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. So, so you think that there's something to that? I might be getting a little bit of money coming my way.
I hope so. I think so. I think with this setup, how can you not get money going? Look at the, you got to. I think this is funded by the Russians right now. I think this is, yeah.
What do you think, Zelensky? I think I should play my penis with the fucking keyboard. You ever seen that video where Zelensky's playing the keyboard? Hey, that's like the coolest shit ever. I can't hate a man that can play a keyboard with his penis.
I got to say that is, I think, you should be able to be president of a third world country if you can play the piano with any sexual organ.
Yeah, it made it a fucking first world country in my heart.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I haven't seen Putin, what he can play with his penis. Maybe he can play the fucking banjo with his dick and
If
shit.
he can play the trumpet with his dick, that guy deserves to get the Soviet Union back together.
Yeah, that's why we haven't seen fucking Putin for a while. Maybe he's working on that and shit. He's just like, he's in the back, just a calloused up cock and shit. And he's like, I will show Zelensky. We'll show them the power of the Russian people.
It would be like the whole fucking Russian orchestra with his dick. That'd be nice. I'd be into it.
Yeah, the Siberian Orchestra,
Yeah.
led by fucking Vlad. Yeah, he could just use his dick as the fucking thing. So what, you're not a big fan of Russia?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say I'm not a big fan of Russia. They control most of my media and what I consume. I should. The algorithm says I'm a fan of them.
How does Russia do that?
How does Russia do that? Well, there's not a lot of barriers to entry on Facebook. You just need an email address, which I can create 100 of those today. Google account.
Oh, so what would they make that's like influencing me?
Oh, well, what they do is they 9 of the top 10 Christian sites in America they found were run by Russian troll farms on Facebook. So they can take
what,
these
Russians can't be Christians now?
No, of course they're
and
going
also,
to hell.
yes, chat, this is Comrade Skeleton Zelensky over here. Yes, it is a dirty commie. No, Zelensky's a commie? I don't know. Maybe.
No, he's a Nazi. Different.
Zelensky's a Nazi? Yeah. Asimov's. Oh, man. So the top 10 Christian sites, what are those even?
So what they do is they would take these sites and they would create these rallies and say they were going to have like a rally somewhere for conservative Americans, and then they would flip the page they'd get all these followers and they'd flip it to like a Muslim site, and they'd and all these right-wing Christian conservatives would be following this Muslim site all of a sudden, and then it would just be like wild stuff that would just get people enraged and create these rallies where you had two competing groups coming together head to head and combating.
When has that ever happened ever?
Yeah, I know. When has that ever happened ever?
No,
in America?
do you have an example? That's what I'm saying. Like, that sounds like maybe something that they did, but when have we ever seen like this is when the Russians? I think that we would have heard about the Russians getting a Christian people and the Muslims protesting at the same thing.
I think it's called the Crusades.
That's a good one.
I think that happened for like a long time, like 250 years that it was going on.
No, but so
when have the Muslims and the Christians ever disagreed about anything?
But
That's
that
a
Facebook thing,
wild scenario.
But that Facebook thing. Did they ever? Is that just something that you heard, or did that ever actually happen? And
no,
also,
that did actually happen.
Okay, so the top 10 Facebook Christian sites. You mean Christian Facebook pages?
Yeah, Facebook pages.
Okay, that's different.
Facebook group.
Okay, that's different.
Like these huge groups, because you can just make a group on Facebook and call it whatever you want. Then they get people to join, and everyone thinks it's a Christian group, and then they flip it to like a Muslim thing or something wildly different to change the narrative, and it enrages all these people and sets them off. And they're like controlling what people think, because they're like, oh, this is what Christians think, this is what you guys should consume, and everyone thinks it's great.
But just because somebody does that, you can't say that it's how influential it is. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's naive to not say that that social media is the most influential thing in the world right now.
But let's put it this way. So just because you can make something popular doesn't mean that it's having influence on something. I think
if it is popular, it is influential. Otherwise, it wouldn't be popular.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because what is popular? Usually things that appeal to the lowest common denominator, and so
which is most Americans.
Well, exactly. So what I'm trying to say is that dictates the content. It doesn't necessarily say that the content dictates the lowest denominator. Does that make sense?
No, I didn't follow that.
So so I'm saying that the retards dictate the content, not the content dictating the retards. It's like that's why we have stupid stuff, not because people want us to be stupid. It's because stupid people buy that stuff, and we also buy that stuff. So it appeals to a bigger swath of people better than intellectual stuff. If people bought intellectual shit, people would sell that. But what sells more is Jersey Shore and reality TV.
Right. Well, why does that sell more? Because it's easier to control people who are on a low frequency.
No, trust me, man. I know what you're saying, dude. I know that. I'm just saying. But don't you think that it's a little bit both ways and stuff? Like, there's a certain amount of laziness. Like, people are kind of complacent and stuff.
Sure, yeah, they are, absolutely. But again, that's partly because of conditioning. People have been conditioned to be lazy. We've got these like low frequency, low grade entertainment just stuck on your phone, watch the algorithm. The algorithm is meant to enrage you, keep you engaged. It's like TikTok.
How is
right?
Kill Stan gonna change this is what I want to know.
If you read Kill Stan, you will become a genius.
That's what I want to hear.
It's a 100% guarantee.
If you support this Kickstarter, you're fighting the culture war, all right?
Yeah.
You are raising the fucking vibration. You are appealing to the highest common denominator with Kill Stan. Am I right?
That's right.
Very good. Go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Let me see. Not gonna lie, this is exactly like the convo I had last Saturday. Like, can you believe the consensus or do you do your own thing? And that's what I'm kind of saying. It's like, so you're saying that most people just follow the trends?
Well, absolutely. Look at they don't become trends without people following them. I mean, everything we've got the fucking planking challenge and everyone's planking, or the mannequin challenge and or like look at COVID. It's
so you're gonna tell me that planking wasn't cool for a time? Like, can things not be cool for a certain time? Can a trend not exist in itself and it not be indicative of a lower vibration?
Until it's something like COVID. It's a totalitarian government telling you when and you can and can't go outside and who you can eat a meal with and things like that. So that's the trend. The trend is the ability for the government to control any of your ideas and what you do. They found a way to do that.
Well, and I think, but let's put it this way, though. Don't you think it was a lot easier when you're putting $1,200 in everybody's pocket every 2 weeks and saying,
yeah, sure. Why do you think they do that? When you keep someone...
Well, that's what I'm saying. So go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, well, you keep someone just fed enough with just enough money and just enough entertainment, complacent enough, fat, fed, and stupid, and separated from other people.
But who do you blame at that point? Do you blame the government for paying off some retards $1,200, which is a cheaper thing than like? Because that's what I'm saying. I think they just did a cost analysis. They're like, all right, what's the cheapest amount we can give these retards just to keep the machine going?
I don't know. If you trick your dog into eating a pill because of put it in a peanut butter.
It helps them. So that's a great analogy. That's a great analogy.
Okay, what if you're trying to poison your dog and you put it in a...
But you didn't say that at first. You said, but your first thing was that you give them a pill and all that. Yeah, the dog might be stupid enough to be like, whatever, you give them a little cheese around the pill, That's what I'm saying. Maybe I personally think that the government was trying to kill off old people and stuff like the Chinese were. I think the Chinese invented a virus to kill off old people and sick people.
Well, if they would have just framed it that way, I would have been more on board.
Yeah, but
they didn't have to be so subversive about it. They could have at least still let me, travel to Vegas that one weekend instead of shutting down. You just want to kill old people? Just say that, man. Just don't
give
make
me a
it
hammer.
So, just don't make it so I can't do my shitty weekend fucking.
We'll all do a
Iowa.
shift at the nursing home with the hammer.
Yeah,
we'll call it the week of the hammer, and then we'll all be on our way.
That's right, week of the hammer. Can't touch this.
Yeah, and let me see. They're not succeeding. Let me see. Unfortunately, DC sound a lot like mother-in-law until it's something like the Tide Pod Challenge, but that's just Darwin's Law at work. Fortunately, we're not succeeding the oldest man alive. All right. I think that you definitely touching on something though. So, and I agree. I think that I do think that our school system has been definitely subverted. I don't think that there's a lot of incentive in making smart people. I think that, but at the same time,
Well, our school system, the American school system, was never based on actual scholastic education. The American school system is based on a German, like Gregorian German system that was meant to make cogs in a wheel, to make good citizens who would work in your factories. It wasn't designed to actually educate people to be better, more critical thinkers and understand, be able to get further in life. They wanted you to be able to be, hey, look, this person knows how to make wheels now for our tractors. That's what they wanted.
and isn't that a good thing? I mean, like, how many hippies do you see that are able to work in society? It's like we do have to understand that society is a fucking it's like an ecosystem. You know what I mean? And as much as we hate it or not, there are certain habits that seem to carry on from one fucking society to another. All right, let's see. Hello? Oh, shit.
Wow. Wow, look at that. Listen to that noise. Look at that. Wow, look at that.
Deece is fucking tripping out. I told you Trump calls in all the time. Trump, I'm doing a show right now, so this is the perfect time for you to call in. I got Deece, Casillas. I think we can do something about, I think we can do some kind of, I don't know, comic book. I think we can turn this shit around, all right? Please. Just stay on the line. We're doing good. Fuck! Hey, what's up? You doing good, boss? And see what happens? See what happens?
Yeah,
there
Trump,
we go.
Yeah.
I got Trump on the line. Hey, Trump.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. What's up? How's it going?
I heard you talking about making cogs, and I like that. I love cogs. I love tractors. I want more tractors.
What? What's your whole thing about tractors? It's like the second week. He's like an autistic dude. He just gets like focused on one thing, and
The
it's
guy
like,
got shot in the head.
Hold on.
Cut him some slack.
oh yeah, you did get shot.
Yeah,
Did you?
that's right, DC. Have you ever sat on a tractor and pressed the knob and made the bucket go up and down? Have you ever done that?
Yeah. Now I'm realizing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot you got shot in the head. I was moving apartments. I would have called you during that shit, and I saw that you got up. If you didn't get up so quick, I would have called you. I knew that it would have insulted you to call you like that. But yeah, no.
I was shot, Alonzo, through and through, straight through the center of my head, severing both cortexes in half. And now I can think two things at one time. I can be drawing a picture, and I can also be doing arithmetic equations.
I think that's called autism. You're describing autism right now.
Oh, fuck.
I am an artist. What can I say? I am an artist. I'm doing all kinds of art.
Well, Trump, thanks a lot for calling in. So this guy, he interviews libertarians and shit. He's talking about how Russia has taken over the world and stuff like that. I say that you call into the show, and now you can see that it's not really what it's all cracked up to be. All these fucking podcasters are always like, oh, I want Trump to call into the show. I want Trump to call into the show, and then he calls in, and it's
He wants to go beep beep. That's what he wants to do when he calls in. You understand?
saying
He likes to beep beep.
people think that he doesn't have script writers. This is so clear that he has script writers. But how you been,
That's
Trump?
right. I tell him. I say, do it, change it. I say, in fact, put it in my ear, like the late great. What's his name? That actor that just is dying. He's dying.
Who's
His brain
dying?
is disappearing. His brain's disappearing, and they're making him do all these movies.
Bruce Willis?
And they put an earwig in his ear, and they just have him stand on his mark, and he says, "I'm gonna kill you." You understand? He does it, and he has to think, because he's not thinking. He's listening to what a woman in the back room is telling him to say off of the script. It's wonderful stuff.
That's disgusting. Listen to a woman like that. I'm sure. Yeah. So Mr. T.
Mr.
Thank
T,
you
that's
for
a different
calling me
person.
by the thing.
That's
I
Mr.
told
T.
you to
What are you
call
talking
me by.
about? Well, you don't call him Mr. T. Only his
President.
best
He's
friends call him.
president. He didn't work. He didn't campaign for 4 years and get shot in the head to be called Mr. T. He's President
No,
T.
I am Mr. President T. I pity a fool who doesn't vote for me. I pity a fool who
I pity a
doesn't
fool.
find a dead guy to vote on my behalf. I pity him.
Yeah. No, I got to get you back in office, man, because you do owe me that money and shit. And I have a very strong feeling you'll be in jail and not paying me back. And it's, I don't know. It's going to be a shame if I don't get that fucking money back because I still have the Snapchats. I still have the Snapchat saved. All right. That's all I'm going to say. Remember when we were down there at Diversions fucking playing Time Crisis 2? Remember? We were playing Time Crisis 2 and you flipped the fucking car in the parking lot. Remember that? You said you could do donuts. Yes. You said you could do donuts around me and shit. And what happened? You flipped the fucking car. Don't even interrupt me.
I get it. Me and Crystalia are both shocked that Snapchat can save. We both understand.
Crystalia was there. We were all partying, and this was way before that whole thing came out, and I had to disown him as a friend. But yeah, it was me, Trump, Crystalia. We were doing donuts in the Diversions parking lot after we got drunk playing Time Crisis.
Yeah.
Are people really still mad at Crystalia for being a pedophile? I mean, there's better reasons to be mad at him, like for his comedy. So, what are we? Is pedophilia really the worst thing he's ever done in his life?
I thought it was
right. When you're doing jokes about dating women and you're always, making it about how cool you are, who cares? Who cares if she's underage? You're kind of an asshole. You understand? Right? Like, be cool about it, right? Do cool shit. Come up with be on a motorcycle when you bring a 14-year-old girl to a comedy show and make her sit in the green room. You understand? Do cool shit.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. He should have like a leather jacket on while he's doing it. He should be like a classic high school scumbag that's dating high schoolers and stuff, or a college. He's in college. He's going there and picking her up in his El Camino and shit, or his Firebird. Is that what it is? Or a Thunderbird? What is it?
What? I don't know what car.
It's a Prowler.
Are you asking me what Crystalia drives?
I'm asking you don't know that whole like trope when you're in high school and they'd have a fucking 15-year-old friend that was dating some
very
like
generous of you to assume I went to high school. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all week.
You sound like you've been to high school. You sound like you've been to high school twice.
No,
you sound very smart.
I didn't even go once.
Do you? Hey, look. Do you want to be my education czar? I'm telling you, we could take care of a lot of these retards.
You're goddamn. I like some. How about
don't. If every time you just owe money, he's just gonna ask you for money now. That's all it is. It's like, you want to be a czar? Okay, I'm gonna need $1,200. And trust me, I'll get it back to you. You'll make so much more money. Yeah, okay.
Come on, Alonzo. We would do a friends and family deal. It would be $600 in 2 payments. How dare you?
All right. Well,
as long as it goes towards that wall, I'm here for it, Trump.
We are doing.
You're a Trump guy. You like Trump?
I like parts of what he does. The wall is great. The whole, what's left of it is okay. The hair's all right.
My daughter, the fact that we both want to have sex with my daughter.
I like your uglier daughter, though. The one.
The little short one.
Yeah, Baron. Baron's my favorite daughter of yours. That gal
like the
is
one
sexy.
That looks like, I like the one that looks like Mike Wazowski. She's cute. She's a cute little girl. And I told her, I said, don't get any smaller. Keep going. Keep eating. I'm a feeder. I like to feed her.
That's hot, Trump. You used to watch Billions?
I want her to be round like a balloon.
You ever watch Billions on Amazon?
Of course.
Fucking dope. Remember that scene where Paul Giamatti's getting pissed on after the chick puts a cigarette out on his chest?
Wow, that's very hot. That's like Chuck Berry energy. I like that.
Dude, it was super hot. And then there was an even hotter reveal. I'm not going to ruin it for you. We'll talk about it later after the show. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I call Trump too. Sometimes I call Trump. I'm like, yo, Trump, what's up? Let's talk about Billions,
we like to chin wag. What can I say? Alonzo's a good guy. I got to say, people are saying terrible things about him in the news and in the media. But don't believe it. Alonzo's a good guy.
I started most of those rumors. I think I'm going to have to Me Too myself, dude, because nobody's talking about me. I think I'm just going to have to put some rumors out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't you understand why I do crazy shit? I don't want to lose relevancy. You understand? That's why I'm doing it. Because as soon as I stop running, they stop looking. And I have to keep running, you understand? So one of these days, a sex tape is going to come out. There's going to be a lot of scat. There's going to be a lot of blood. And I'll tell you what.
Hey, what should I ask the Lizard Man? I got Trump on the phone. What should I ask the Lizard Man? I have questions for the Lizard Man. What should I ask him?
I would say ask him Are you more lizard or more man? You
That's a
understand?
great question, actually. I would ask that.
Yeah, why not man lizard? Right? Why lizard
Absolutely.
man?
Oh, right. Well, why not man with lizard pieces? You understand? Like
Sure.
bits and chunks of lizard, but not all lizard. Because I've seen the photo. Look, I've been to Ripley's a lot. I go to Ripley's all over, and I do it forward and reverse.
Man,
because I
you
love
remember
to.
me and you and Chris D'Elia were at Ripley's last week.
That's right. And we did that thing where we stood next to the tallest man, and I said, "Chris, you'll never be this tall." And he was, and his hair was tall and long, and I said, "You'll never be as tall as the tallest man. And you'll never be. You'll have to change
He was
your
so
ways."
mad. He's like, well, maybe if I work hard enough, maybe if I study hard. It's like, no, dude, don't understand what the tallest man is. And shit. He's like, well, you know who my dad is. You don't know who my dad is. It's like, Chris, we all know who your dad is. You can't be the tallest man. He was so fucking mad. Remember he spent all night trying to find like big boots. Remember?
Absolutely. He was looking for those suspension boots, those moon boots. And I said, you got to chill out, dude.
Dude, thank God he had all that coke, dude, because I was about to fucking, like, after the third store, I was about to leave, but then he kept on pulling out fucking bags out of nowhere. He kept on fucking pulling out mystery bags of coke. And I was like, Chris, what the fuck? It was crazy, dude.
I've never seen such a untraditionally attractive man grovel that much in my life. Do you understand? Just kind of sitting puffy in his chair, all bitchy and whiny, you know? I just don't get it.
Oh, remember when we were with fucking Puffy and Chris D'Elia? And, oh, never mind. That was fucking dope, though. Either way.
Those guys can't get down, I'll tell you what.
Dude.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, my God, dude. If you want to talk about pulling out mystery bags, fucking Puffy knows how to fucking pull out some mystery bags. You're like, Puffy, I don't want to, like, dude, you go like 3 countries with Puffy in your fucking jet and shit. And you're like, all right, come on, dude, let's fucking finish this up. Always pulling out a mystery bag.
He's always like, put your hand in here, but don't look. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, don't look in it, but put your hand in there. It's like a Halloween. It's like we went through a haunted house or something.
Bad boy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, listen, folks, I've got I am down in Cabo San Lucas. There are a bevy of women around me. I have not asked their ages, but I am busy. I got things to do today. So it's been a pleasure talking to all of you. And I'll tell you this, Deece, is that your name, DC?
It's Deece.
Yeah, you got it, Deece.
Deece, my friend. We'll talk soon. I'm hoping that you can put together a graphic novel depicting all of the things that I did with Chris D'Elia. Do you understand?
I'll see. I will see what I can do. It seems like there's probably some statutes of limitations that might exclude some pages.
We'll just call him fucking Dis Cecilia, and it'll be fine.
I love it. I love it.
Trust me.
Well, thank you both. Have a wonderful day. And tell the lizard man to keep his tongue in his mouth. You understand? It's gross. It's weird. Anyways, pleasure to talk to all of you. I will be meeting with you soon at the White House as we take it over with guns. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Everybody give it up for the motherfucking President of the United States. The Lizard Man should be calling in shortly. I'm going to go smoke a cigarette. I'm going to play this beautiful piece of artwork right here. Let me see if this works. Very good. And let me see if that plays right here. It should. Let me play this real quick. What is this?
It says it's playing.
Is it going to play?
It says it is.
Oh. Let's play that. Is that it?
This is like a wormhole of me on a podcast, watching a podcast of me on a podcast, talking about a podcast. This is some like a Russian nesting doll of Deece podcasts.
A true crime guy.
Ooh, all right. It says Lizard Man here.
This crime's not true.
Oh, that's probably my my washing machine getting delivered. It's very nice. Can you hear it?
He'll stand. And I read, what's available, what little bit is available on the Kickstarter page, which is, a Kickstarter announcement page.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Bringing that up here just so people can take a look at it now and then. It is, of course, linked right below the video on YouTube.
There you go.
Always do. And just for grins, I'm going to put it into the chat.
Let's do it.
Watching on X.
Let Wayne take a read. everyone on X.
So this is different from something like Kill Bill, where they're hunting him. This is from Stan's perspective, and
Yeah, this is I would say very different from that.
yeah, obviously the title's like, yeah, it's short and it's got a kill in it, so we're going to draw that illusion right away. But this is described as suicide by vigilantism, which I find fascinating, an idea. Where did this germinate? What happened in the news or in your life that you're like, hey, comic book?
Well, I wanted to kill myself and beat people up, so I thought, no, I'm kidding.
Bat flew through the window, and
honestly, it was a couple things that the kind of the impetus of this story. It was kind of at the start of COVID, and I had some downtime, because I do stand-up comedy for a living, and obviously the world had shut down to that. So I was, I'd always loved comic books. I've always wanted to do one.
All right, and that's moving slowly. There we go. Ah, man, things are looking up for Alonzo.
Oh, we got.
Hey, you can open the door. Just open the door. Yeah, you guys can just bring that in wherever. It's cool. Yeah, you can just push that. Yeah, you can just throw that to the side. I'm sorry. Yeah.
You guys want to be on the show?
The best. Yeah. Just put it right behind the door. It'll be good. You can put. Yeah. That's fucking beautiful. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Yeah. What? Yeah, sorry about that. All right. You're live on Bad First Impressions. Yes. Very good. All right. Now, I have a washing machine. Thank you, sir. You're the best.
All right.
Have a
Bye,
great
guys.
one. All right. Should have gone the other way. Should have gone this way. But either way.
Got a washer now.
I have a washer. So let me tell you the story of that washer. I won a contest. I won a TV. I sold it, and I bought the washer with it.
Aced. All right. It's a hell of a story. Look at that.
Thank you very much. So you guys can check out that podcast. That's Kill Stan Live with Deece Casillas. If you want to hear some more in-depth information about that podcast, you can check it out at Critical Blast. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Lizardman should be calling in soon. I'm very excited about that. And I have a washer. I'm very excited about that.
You can wash your clothes now.
Yeah, I'm glad that you like to fucking argue about politics, because I love that. That's like very cool. I like to argue about politics.
I don't want to argue about it. I just want to discuss politics, have an open dialogue, right?
You can't discuss politics unless it's an argument, because if people are just agreeing, it's not a discussion. It's just a dick suck fest. I don't even like, even if I agree with you, if it's for a podcast, I'm going to disagree.
I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to be in an argument if you're disagreeing, though. You can have an amicable conversation.
That's bullshit. I don't like that. I don't like him trying to Mr. Rogers the situation.
See, now I don't know if you're just trying to be unamicable so this can be an argument, or to prove your point. Or
I'm proving my point right now. Like I will not be wrong. This will be an argument, but yeah, man. So that's really cool. So do you have any other comic projects? What made you choose to do Kill Stan first? Is it something that's been like rolling around in your head? Is it something you worked like really close with another friend? It's more of his idea. What's the history of that?
No, this is something it was at the start of COVID. I had some free time, and like most people did, and I was thinking about killing myself like most people were.
Really?
No,
or are you just joking?
No, I'm just joking.
Good.
But no, part of it. So a couple of things. I mean, my best friend, another comedian who I toured with for years, all had actually just killed himself. So that was in my mind. And then there was a lot of with BLM riots, a lot of interaction between police and citizens was happening. And I kept the phrase "suicide by cop" kept popping in my head, seeing all these interactions, So I had the thought of suicide by vigilantism, and that was the impetus for the story, and just went from there.
That's interesting that you mentioned that, because it reminds me of a 4chan post where it's like, if you're suicidal, why not like go try to fight crime? You
Why
know,
not just do it? Get it over with, you fucking pussy.
or not even, yeah, right, not even just like kill yourself, but try to like, if you're gonna put yourself in a harm's way, why not do it for the greater
Sure.
good and stuff.
That's kind of yeah. I didn't know. I've never been a 4chan, so I don't know. But that yeah, that's a lot of what this is. Yeah, a guy who, and then you get into him just wanting to die, and then you get into him starts to be revered as like the savior of the neighborhood, which there's some conflict there because he just wants to die, and the neighborhood looks at him as an actual hero.
So I wonder, what do you think it is when people get suicidal? I mean, obviously it's the depression and stuff, but and that's what I'm saying. So
I blame the mercury in the drinking water.
but so it's like it's an interesting concept of somebody being suicidal and then wanting to go do good. So is he kind of a Travis Bickle kind of character where he's doing bad things and people are just perceiving them as good, and then maybe he like it kind of pulls him out of his suicidalness because now he has some kind of, or am I reading too much? I don't want to spoil anything.
It's tough to answer that question because I don't know who Travis Bickle is. So
Taxi. You ever seen Taxi Driver?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I didn't realize. I guess yeah, that's okay. Got it now. No, so he doesn't. He's just doing it to die. He was just hoping it would be a fast way to die, and he kind of gets caught up and ends up living longer than he thought he would. And ends up with kind of on the run from some people who want to get something back from him that he inadvertently ends up with, and there's a whole debacle there. So, yeah.
Interesting.
It's really more of a it's a psychological it's more about one man's psyche, one man's broken psyche that I think a lot of us can or have dealt with also. And
known caller.
Oh, we got a known caller.
Oh shit, this is fucking intense.
Is it Trump again?
All right. Hello, this is Alonzo.
Hello.
You're live on Bad First Impressions.
Hi, Alonzo. This is the Lizardman. How you doing, man?
Yeah! Fuck yeah, dude. I'm doing great, man. How you doing, sir?
I am really good. I'm fresh off of breakfast in Orlando, Florida. I got a little green packed up, and I'm about to start hitting this vape.
Hell yeah, the Lizardman, dude. The Lizardman likes to fucking smoke. That's what I was doing a little bit. I don't want to get too high for this, so I'm saving it for after the
Look,
interview.
there's no such thing, man. However high you are, that's the right amount.
That's so true, man. That's so fucking true. Damn, Lizardman's already dropping gems and shit. So, if anybody, I didn't realize this, man, but yeah. So for anybody that is that is not aware, I'm sure. But when people they say who's the Lizardman, and then when I show them the picture, everybody's right. The Lizardman. Yeah, it's what I love about the Lizardman. I'll get to later. But first off, this man is a legend in many scenes. I think he's normalized tattooing, body modification. He's knocked doors down. If he's the one that made it cool for you to be yourself in a lot of ways. You've seen him, now you can hear him, and I definitely want to try to ask him some things that hopefully people haven't asked him before. But if you don't know the Lizardman, go look him up. You can see many interviews, his frequently asked questions. He's he's many Guinness Book World Records holders. Just the most heavily bonafide, most tattooed.
Well, I actually don't have the record for most tattooed. That's a guy named Lucky Diamond Rich.
Okay.
There's a lot of things where you get coverage for stuff, but it's not necessarily the record. And I guess a good enough everyone says one of my pet peeves is when people say world record, you got to separate world records from like Guinness World Records or Ripley's World Record, things like that, because the people who certify these records, they don't do it out of the goodness of their heart, right? Guinness certifies records to make money. And if they can make more money certifying a record, even though it's not the real record, they will go with the one that makes more money. There's a bunch of different examples of this, and the big thing is like adult content. Guinness World Records doesn't want anything that's not PG-13. So if somebody who is, say an adult, like if a porn star gets a record, they don't want anything to do with it, even though it is the record. That sort of thing.
Interesting. That is interesting. So, is there a certifiable body of world records that you kind of defer to? Because it seems like, as you said, a pet peeve. It seems like you might have an insight into that.
So I mean, when as a kid, and I was like, I don't want to ruin anybody's fan. I'm like, I still love world record. I love that stuff, right? It's how I got drawn into it. And yeah, I dreamed of a long time of having a world record. Once I got inside, and this is typical of anything, right? If you look at it from the outside, something because when you get inside and you learn the nuts and bolts of it, it can be a little bit, it doesn't have to be disappointing, but it can be eye-opening, I guess, where I started to realize that I'm like, yeah, all of these people that are doing records, they're doing it for something else. And that something else is a means of making money. So for Guinness World Records, it's publishing the books and licensing the name to the show. There are other world record organizations, but the thing is, at the end of the day, none of them are sort of like altruistically like, all we care about is whether or not it's the real record. So if you really want to find out what real records are, you've got to go digging and do the research on your own. They're the gateway. But once you get through that gateway, if you start digging, you start to realize that most of what you thought were the records aren't really the records, or they have to put special caveats on it, right? It's like the American or the first man. Well, like there's always some little technicality there where you're like, oh, well, that means somebody else probably did it. And some of this stuff is just unfortunately unverifiable because we have stories that historically there were exaggerations and people like, well, that nobody's ever done that since. And we're like, yeah, but I'm like, that story is from 1850 and we don't know if it's accurate or not, right? We don't have the documentation all the time. That's just we're already off on a tangent.
No, I love that. No, seriously, and I love that about. Trust me, go on tangents. I know that you're a comedian. I know that you're a spoken word guy, and so I hope and I like to go off on tangents too. So trust me, feel comfortable to talk about what you want to talk about. Feel comfortable to smoke up and shit. I'm drinking myself right now. Deece is he's hitting here, very avid, attentive listener and stuff. So yeah, man. So when it comes to that, so is there any kind of, maybe not world record, but something that just that you kind of like to take pride in, or have you kind of gotten past that?
Well, I mean, I'm I'm a big fan of taking pride in legit things that are legitimately for you. So like if I feel I've accomplished something, I got no problem being proud of it. And I tell other people too, if you've done something, don't hide it, don't downplay it. Like you don't have to be a jerk and run around and be like, hey, did you know I'm the dude who did this or I did that? Like don't be that guy. But at the same time, if you've done something, then that means you've earned it. You've earned the right to be like, hey, I've done that, right? Don't a lot of times it comes up with like titles. Like I'll be working, as a performer, and usually they bring in like the local guests. I had a recent one I was up in New York, and they had the state senator for the area was there at the event, and I had him come up and pull a sword out of my throat. I was like, beforehand, I was like, hey, I just want to make sure I get your name right. And he's like, oh, you can just call me whatever. I was like, dude, you're a senator. And I'm like, I didn't care what parties for there, but if you get elected to an office, I'm like, you should get to have that name. I'm like, I'm going to call you senator on stage unless you ask me not to. Like, I'm going to give you your props. If you're a college professor, I'm going to call you professor. I'm going to call you doctor. I'm going to give you your props because you earned them. And for me, that's also just a part of, to earn respect, you give respect, right? I'm like, why should I expect you to treat me the way I want you to treat me if I don't do that same thing for you? It's just for me, it's a very basic reciprocal thing, and it blows my mind that other people don't operate that way sometimes.
Well, Lizardman, see, people don't realize Lizardman is a genius. You're doing a master's degree. If you look at into him, then you would. But just maybe glancing, you'd be like, is this Lizardman on the level?
Right.
But yeah, you were working on like a master's degree in medicine. You have a bachelor's degree in arts.
It's actually a PhD, and I was working on my PhD in philosophy.
Oh, beautiful.
And because I work primarily in philosophy of language and philosophy of the mind, sometimes that gets kind of misreported as psychology because there's a huge overlap. But I was very much philosophically focused, and so my actual graduate thesis, my doctoral thesis that I started working on before I quit to do performing full time, was on my own personal philosophy of art.
I gotta read that. If it's so good, it made you quit fucking being a doctor to become the Lizardman. I gotta read that. That's gotta make Ted Kaczynski blush. I gotta read this shit.
It's not so much that it made me quit. What happened was, and this is the way I would say it, like, imagine you want to be a writer, right? You're writing the next great novel, but in order to finance that, you're working like I used to as a bartender or a waiter or a dishwasher or whatever like that. If you finish your book and nobody buys it, well, then you keep washing dishes. But as soon as somebody buys your book, as soon as you get a deal or whatever, right, you're out of there. No more dishwashing. So teaching and graduate school for me was my dishwasher job. It was what I was doing at the same time I was trying to be a living artist and a performer and go out and do stuff. So in 1999, I got an offer to join the Jim Rose Circus and go out on tour with Godsmack. And at that point, I was like, yeah, goodbye grad school. I'm going to go play rock star.
Fuck yeah. So, quick question. Were you on a scholarship or did you have cool parents that just supported you?
Well, I had cool parents that supported me, but not financially because they didn't have that. I mean, they did what everybody's parents do. They could. So both my parents are teachers. My dad was also in the military.
Oh, wow.
He was a Vietnam draftee. I got a full academic scholarship to college. And so I got my undergraduate degree, my BA. And then I took about a year where I was off and, I did the typical graduate from college, don't have any plans. So I worked at a warehouse. I taught martial arts and a bunch of things. And then
The Lizardman can whoop ass? You know martial arts?
I am a black belt in Shito-Ryu and Shotokan karate, but I haven't actively formally trained since the 90s.
Well, let me write this down.
Black belt in 96.
Because there's something I want to talk to you about. It's kind of a bit I've been working on, but I'm kind of more serious about it since I met this guy. So I was talking to my friends, dude, because I don't know if you remember. Oh God, I want to get to this in a bit because I don't want to interrupt the interview thing. But I'll put a pin in it because
Okay.
I think it'll be funny, but dude, because I want to interrupt your flow. But go on. I'm sorry. Yeah. So
okay.
So
anyway, I'm doing all that. My mom tells me, she's like, you should consider going back to grad school. And I was like, the thing was when I started college, in my idea, one of my thoughts that I would have, what are you going to do with your life? You're 18 years old. You're going off to college. I was like, maybe I'll be a professor. That actually appealed to me. Like I said, both my parents being educators, I had some idea of what was going on. By the time I graduated and I saw saw beyond the surface, right? The actual nuts and bolts of what is involved in getting that job and doing that job. I was like, I don't know if this is for me or not, but I was like, it's worth going back to grad school. And I applied to a number of schools. I got, and this is what usually happens. There are, scholarships and stipends and stuff like that for grad school. But most of the time what happens is if you're a good candidate, they will give you jobs as a TA. So it's basically like, hey, while you're in grad school, you're also going to be teaching. And so I did that, and they pay you to teach, which is kind of, instead of having a student loan or a scholarship, you have a paycheck from the institution you're attending. So that's kind of how I was paying for grad school as I was going along, was I was teaching courses and taking courses. And I really quickly, I figured out that I was like, yeah, this isn't the environment for me. Like the office politics, the stuff that isn't teaching, the stuff that isn't doing the academic work for yourself just really was wearing me down. And that was kind of the kick in the ass I needed to sort of really put a true full effort into performing in art. And like I said, as that took off, I was able to walk away from the academic stuff.
And just, I'm sure people are wondering, what did the Lizardman teach?
When you're doing that, when you're a TA as a new grad student, you teach the intro courses. So like intro to logic, intro to philosophy, introduction to ethics, things like that. Philosophy 101, philosophy 110, where it's just a survey course where freshmen take it to find out if they want to take more courses later on. Very basic stuff. Maybe we go through like one Socratic dialogue, we go through the basics of logic, things like that. Real survey courses, but it's good for you as a teacher and as somebody who's going into that field. That's where you really lock down your basics, right? It's like you get really, really solid on that because you have to explain it to people that very often don't get it. 18-year-olds don't seem to get it.
That's interesting. And so so I know you said you didn't like the office politics. What did you like about teaching?
Well, what did I like about teaching?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, what I like about teaching is teaching, like being in a room with a group of people that want knowledge, that are, actively willing to participate in and explore things and ideas. Like I love the college environment, the university environment. That was one of my favorites, is just having a community of people around you where, and I'm not, I don't discriminate about this. Like I'll sit down in a random dive bar in a town I've never been to and talk to somebody the same way that I will talk to, an accredited professor at a university. Well, not exactly, but I mean, I'm willing to have those conversations. But it's nice, especially when you're talking about something like philosophy or sciences, to have a community of people where that they've all done the background reading, right? It's like being in a room, being in a book club where everybody's read the book, as
Damn.
opposed to just talking to a random stranger about it. It's a resource because nobody can do life or anything else on their own. It's all a team effort. You always need somebody else to bounce the ideas off of, to keep you in check, whatever it is. And the better those people are, the better it is for you. If you want to get better at a sport, right? You got to work out with the best people in the sport. They're going to push you. They're going to train you. They're going to put you in those situations that'll make you better. Academics is no different. There's the old saying, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, right? Yeah, exactly. If you want to learn, you want to be in a room full of people smarter than you.
I never heard that. I never heard that phrase. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. That's great. I like that. I gotta.
Well, just think about it for a second. It's like, if you're smarter than everybody else in the room, why would you listen to their feedback?
Yeah, that'd be a boring room.
You'd be like, yeah, it's like, you could. I feel like there's like funnier ways to do it too. Like the comedian in my brain wants to say, like, your friends, how fucking dumb they are. Are you really going to take their advice on something this important? That type of situation.
Yeah. Well,
I love my buddies, but some of them are real stupid. In fact, that might be why they're my friends. I enjoy hanging out doing stupid things with them. I just don't take their advice on things like mortgages or investments.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like friendship is the same thing with like parents and stuff, or just like people that you're related to. It's like they don't have to fulfill everything. It's like you don't have to have a friend. It's like I'm friends with you because you're fun, and then we hang out and we make fun of whatever and shit, and we have a good time. You don't have to be but when it comes to knowledge,
that's what you're describing to is the key, is something that I think a lot of people have, make the big social criticism right now. It's like, how with politics and things like that, people are like, oh, well, I'm not your friend anymore. Oh, you did it, I fucking hate you. Like, now for some issues maybe that is the way to go, but for a lot of stuff it should just be, hey, dude, you don't have to agree. You don't have to go to the rally with me on every cause that I decide to pick up. You just got to be you because I like you. You're my buddy. That's what's up here.
You don't got to go to the rally on every cause like that.
Yeah, let people be themselves.
So what I like about the Lizardman, and then I like to delineate about the Lizardman from, and I don't want to diss the Catman, but did you ever hang out with the Catman?
I did. Dennis, he's a good friend of mine. Rest in peace. But,
no, dude, straight up.
Yeah.
But it didn't surprise me that he killed himself, because all the interviews, he seemed very sad, and he didn't seem to have a philosophy about why he was doing it. He genuinely seemed to want to be a cat, like transhumanism kind of thing.
So yeah, that's the thing, is that he did have a clear reason he wanted to do it, but he never had any interest in the public spotlight. And he was very much put in this position of the things that he was doing for himself.
That's such a fucking mind blow.
Look at him, right? And so for him, it was a deeply spiritual journey. He is a Native American. He is a strong Native American heritage, and he was following this totemistic process where you become your totem, you emulate it in behavior and in physical changes. And he was taking it, to a new kind of modernized level with modern body modification techniques. But yeah, it's like I said, it was sad, and it wasn't unforeseen. Like, there were a lot of us who were like, checking it every day, like, Dennis, how you doing, man? But his story, like his life story, is tragic in a lot of ways. A lot of childhood trauma and abuse. His family, again, because of the Native American heritage, was broken up when he was young. A lot of substance abuse. He was in the Navy. He served, and he had there's bad times through a lot of his life, and he found himself in kind of rough straits. So he sort of had to accept the spotlight as the easiest means to continue to support himself. But he absolutely did not need or want the spotlight from a personal viewpoint.
That's so interesting, because it's I hate when I get tunnel vision like that about something, because I thought about that dude a lot, and then you said that it seems like such a simple, obvious thing, but it's so profound. I don't know, to me at least, I'm like, holy shit, that makes it even sadder. But yeah, did I have to take away from my? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Just gonna throw this. There's the other ones because I'm glad you said Catman. He had testicular cancer later in life and lost his head, and because of that, he developed gynecomastia, which is one of those things. So when you're a person who's heavily modified,
when you got the tits, right?
Yeah, it's what you gym tits,
Bob.
But yeah, exactly, Bob. And that's the thing. Like I remember the first time I saw him after that happened, and I was kind of like, "What the hell is going on?" But it became a thing, right? Because people who don't know him, so they just see the image, and now they're like, "Why has he got a rack?" And so people, theorize that he was trans and that all this other stuff, like all these different sort of ideas and rumors about him came out. And again, like that doesn't help, right? That's the real problem too. For somebody who ends up in the spotlight that doesn't want to be there, it doesn't get better. It just keeps spiraling. And that was a whole nother layer to it that I think really pushed him in a bad direction.
Well, yeah, it is wild because I mean everything that we were told as growing up completely changed. Like society completely changed. I don't know where it was exactly. I think you kind of helped it, man. Honestly, I think like so. Here's the thing. When I think about the Lizardman, honestly, I'd love to get you in studio one of these days. I'm in San Antonio. I'm really close by.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I would usually be in Austin, but I've got a job in Florida right now where I'm performing at SeaWorld. So.
Dude, I think that's so dope. And so here, what I like about you is that so when I was growing up, I used to do freak show kind of stuff too, and I would love to
cool.
have you in the studio and kind of show you some of the stuff I did and like do some freak show stuff together, like do a little because I haven't done it for years. But and so that's why I always. The Lizardman has always been a sideshow, freak show kind of guy and stuff, and people don't understand that's not an insult. That's not a. It is
no. That's the highest compliment. I have the word freak tattooed across my chest, but that's one of the last parts of my tattoo that I did because I made myself earn it to my own standard. Like I had the idea of doing freak across my chest the way it is very early on. But I waited years and years and years because in my own mind, I was like, no, I want it not to be a question, that I've earned it. And like you say, like some people, people will say it insultingly. All I hear is compliment. I'm like, if I get you to use that word to describe me, I win.
And so I'm sure you probably like me. You're a big fan of. I don't know if you're like me in the sense that the way that I got into like vaudeville, early comedy is that like when I see something, I want to figure out how it's created. What's the base of this thing? And that's where it always led back to is vaudeville, American circus stuff, carnival, sideshow stuff.
Right.
You're an amazing barker. Like, and also you've built. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's like. The Lizardman is a carnival sideshow personification. You're almost an avatar for that. You know what I mean? It's which I think is a beautiful thing. You've really crafted an iconic, lasting persona, and you're a living cryptid in a sense that people like. I was talking to my friends the other day. I'm like, dude, 2,000 years from now, there's gonna be a religion about the Lizardman, and there's gonna be people debating if he even existed.
Right. I've joked many times about like depending on what happens to my body when I die and whatever. I was like, even if it's just like a traditional burial, like I imagine if now we found somebody buried, but there were 10 pieces of Teflon around their skull, right, and their teeth were all fine. You'd be like, what's going on? This dude lived in 21st century America and he's got filed teeth. What are these things in his skull and all that? Like, yeah, if the records are lost, I'm going to be a real hard thing to figure out in the future.
100%. I'm sure they're going to be like, this guy was probably a deity, and they're like, fucking put you somewhere, and they're like, yeah, back in. So because they'll find books. They'll have like find. You go.
I was just saying, like, you just remember, I was like, yeah, I used to do this joke about the statues at the Ripley's, believe it or not. The same thing. I'd be like, man, in the future, people are going to think I ran a worldwide cult because they're going to find statues of me on every continent.
Yeah, dude. I mean, seriously, you play the Fallout games?
Yeah, I love Fallout. Dude, I gotta say, the last couple, the big one for Fallout 4, it's a great game, but it's not a great Fallout game.
Yeah,
like I still play the original Fallout.
I've got it. The one or two.
I've got it emulated on the PC. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get onto that. I play New Vegas all the time. I just finished
New Vegas of the modern ones. New Vegas is phenomenal. Love that game.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I have some Lizardman questions that I wanted to ask. Some of them are silly, some of them are whatever, and I do want to get.
Silly's always cool.
Hell yeah, man! So, and then we're gonna get into my idea for the Lizardman TV show / comic book.
Okay.
All right. So here's a political question, Lizardman. Let me put it to you.
Let's alienate everybody right off the bat. Let's get political. Okay.
How do you feel about children transitioning into lizard boys and lizard girls?
Well, it's so number one, I think it's important to point out that like a lot of political questions, this is a question about something that's not happening, right? Kids aren't shitting in litter boxes in schools. Kids are not transitioning into lizard. Like it's like so many political debates and questions. This is about some shit that doesn't matter because it's not actually happening. But theoretically, right? If your kid comes up to you and says, "Mommy, Daddy, I want to be a lizard person," right? How do you theoretically? Well, first of all, it's going to depend on the kid, right? Like if we're talking about a 6-year-old, be like, "That's great, kid. Go be a lizard person," right? They're going to forget about it by lunch, right? You got to take that. Now, if it's a 17-year-old, a high school student who's a little more serious and more developed person, well, then you've got to approach it with a different thing. So I mean, and that changes because kids change so much. I've got nieces and nephews now growing up, and a lot of my friends have kids. My wife and I don't. I have a vasectomy, so I feel that's better than a kid.
That's what Sam Haney got. So shout out to fucking Sam Haney. There you go. Lizardman is in the same camp as you. So,
but yeah. So I mean, with kids, you've got to clarify each way. But I think the first thing that you have to do, and I would say it's not that different than somebody being transsexual. It's like, first of all, you don't attack that. You've got to listen to it. Okay, well, tell me about it. So you want to be, your kid says, "I want to be a lizard person." All right, well, why do you want to be a lizard person? Or are you saying that you are a lizard person? You feel like you are a lizard. You have some empathy, right? Go back and forth. Now, if you actually get to the point where you're like, "Oh, well, this kid has thought this out, they understand," now we're talking about, actually the possibility of altering your body, right? Actually starting to get to that. For that, I feel like anything below physical maturity is the wrong time to mess with your body physically. There's people be like, "Oh, you can't get a tattoo until you're 18 because that's the law." It's like, no, you shouldn't get a tattoo until you're 18. Possibly into your early 20s, really, you should think, because your body is still changing in a way that can affect that body modification long term. You get you get a tattoo when you're too young, it can get distorted by your growth.
People even say that about being trans. It's like until your actual penis reaches your sexual maturity, you can't have the vaginal surgery, because if you get it too young, then you're freaking it's gonna be small, and it's not gonna be it's not gonna have a meat.
We're talking about
what?
Yeah.
People are complaining about a small vagina.
Well, it's so small that it's like a fucking, You're right.
Yeah,
all right, you're right. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ, man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Lizardman. I'm trying to operate on different levels. Thank you for making fun. But yeah, no, go on.
But no, that's the whole thing, is that you're dealing with literal physical barriers that you don't want to cross just for basic health reasons or whatever. So I'm like, I didn't start. Like, I pierced my ears when I was 18, but I didn't start getting tattooed until I was 21. And a lot of the heavier stuff, like my implants and my tongue thing, didn't come until my mid to late 20s. And I feel like it's, even if let's say you're 12 years old, let's say you're 6 years old, and this is one of them, because I had some of these ideas when I was a kid, and you want to do them, it still behooves you to wait until your body is ready to do it. Just like, you got to let the concrete dry. If you're building a building, build a foundation, right? Let the foundation form, then you can start altering the structure. But you could do other things. There's definitely, there's affirming things that you can do. So, I did costuming and body paint before I got fully tattooed. It wasn't even Lizardman stuff, but I was playing with those ideas. And it's the same thing as you can take on different gender roles, if that's the situation, whatever it is. I just feel like, it's one of those things, when we try to generalize on this, it's a very bad thing to generate. You've got to take every one of these cases individually. And I think the most important thing too is that you've got to approach it with some empathy, just because that's where the arguments come. When somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I feel like this," and someone goes, "No, you don't. Oh no, you're a boy, you're whatever." And we've got to remember too that we operate at a grade school level. The people who say there's only 2 genders. Well, I guess you failed biology, because that's not true. Like, every single day there are things, and everybody goes, "I can look at it. I know if it's a boy or a girl by looking at it." No, you don't. There are people born every day, animals, people who grew up rurally like I did in farm country know this. Every single day things are born, and you look at them and go, "I don't know what the fuck that is." Nature is wild. It is not simple. It is very, very hard to classify. And biologists spend their entire lives splitting hairs trying to figure out when something is different and when it's not. So to blindly say you're a human being, not a lizard person, like it's overly dismissive and simplistic. So I feel like we've got to let people be themselves.
But
If
as a
that's who they
person,
are,
but
let's
as a
get to it.
person that is so high concept, and I try to tell people this, what I love about Lizardman is that it's a high concept idea. And when people say the word high concept, they don't understand. That doesn't necessarily mean what it means is that it's so high that you can understand it in a very short. Lizardman. It's 2 words, exactly expresses exactly what it is.
Like you were saying before, when people say who's the lizard man, I think the best response is he's that dude who looks like a lizard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who I am.
Okay,
man.
so oh my god. So I'm gonna keep on saving this for the end because my older audience members are wondering when is he gonna ask about the Lizardman stuff with the local scene and stuff. So let me get to the other questions. So,
cool.
David Icke. Have you heard of that
Here's
theory?
my question. Do you know whether or not his last name? I've heard it Ike. I've heard it Icky. I've heard it Eek. Like I have no idea how to say it. Dude, I knew about him before I started anything, and I still to this day don't know how to say his fucking name.
Yeah, so from the common consensus I've heard is Ike. All right, David Icke.
Okay, we're going with that.
All right, and so for people who don't know who we're talking about, David Icke was a once respected British journalist.
I love that once respect. Like he hasn't been respected since before I was born.
Well, here's my thing. I think he was a once respected British journalist, and then became an even more respected conspiracy theorist. You know, like
right.
He just pivoted.
Yeah, that's like he's. And because sometimes somebody will ask me about him, and somebody else there will be like, "Who is that?" I'd be like, "He's the reason that you know about reptilian alien conspiracies. Like he's the original pop culture guy. Like the idea is older than him, but he's the dude that everybody heard it from first because he's the one who got the press because he was a former journalist. He knew how to play that game."
Have you ever been approached by the Illuminati being mistaken as a shapeshifter?
Like have they mistakenly thought I was one of theirs?
Yes, and brought you into the fold.
I mean, well, here's the thing. If the Illuminati have brought me into the fold, it's not the sort of thing I'm going to break on a podcast in the afternoon. Now, is it?
Please, please.
Right.
I need this. I need this.
I would love to tell you that I'm part of a council secretly running the world, but the only thing that would make that even vaguely believable is how screwed up the world is. You'd be like, oh yeah, well, Lizardman's in charge. No wonder this shit's chaotic.
All right, there. I think we have our answer there. So I've wondered, have there ever been any ideas that you wanted to do for the Lizardman character, or maybe pre-Lizardman, that you sat on and then were like, I don't want to do that for this reason or that reason?
Right. So the original idea that I had, and this was back in 1990, I saw this book on Japanese tattooing in my college library, and I knew about tattoos at that point. You know, I was aware of them; they were a thing, but I didn't have much interest. But seeing that work,
do you mind if I pee in this can next to you?
Do you directly next to me or where you're at?
Yeah, where I'm at.
Like I thought you wanted to come closer.
No, just over here.
Have him hold the can.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm gonna use the bathroom anyway, so you can.
Oh, you're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Fine. Me and Lizardman are I'm taking a piss and talking to Lizardman, fucking asshole.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, yeah.
So anyway, so the original idea was just a general transformation. I didn't pick Lizardman at the start. I had a list of ideas, and it gradually, got whittled down.
I heard
by
Puzzle
some
Man.
practicality.
What were the other ones?
Enigma, who got tattooed with puzzle pieces, and funnily enough, puzzle pieces were one of the original ideas I had, but I dismissed it pretty quickly because it didn't fit me, and so it would have been weird. It would have been very disappointing if that was the idea I wanted to go with, and then like a year later, Enigma shows up and be like, oh shit, somebody else did it. But I considered, and also Zombie Boy, if you remember him, Rico, also rest in peace. I had considered doing skull and bones, like skeletal structure as tattoos over there, because from the beginning it was an art concept, but it was also, I wanted it to be as an exploration of this idea. Like when I was learning about the history of tattooed people that had shown themselves, starts with Prince Constantine, the Great Omi, all these historical figures, and I was trying to figure out what made it work for the people who did it, that it worked for. Because there were literally hundreds of people who tattooed themselves and tried to join circuses to make livings, and some did well and some did really well, and a lot of people didn't do very well at all. So
who's Prince Constantine? I never heard that.
He's also known that he had about 9 different names that he performed under. He's the Greek prince. He's basically the first tattooed man, the first Westerner to get intentionally completely tattooed as a way of selling himself, as to being an attraction. He created the blueprint that people used for literally centuries, where it was, they'd be like, you're going to see our tattooed man shipwrecked somewhere or captured by natives somewhere. There was always this story about how they were tattooed and how surviving it was a torture and all this. And that blueprint was literally used. People were still using that basic format for their tattooed person attraction into the 1980s.
Have you ever tried playing with it in different territories? Have you gone out of the country to do Lizardman?
Yep. Oh yeah, I've been around the world touring. I've performed on every continent except Antarctica.
Let's fucking fix that this year.
Yeah, I know. Those damn penguins are cheap. They won't buy tickets.
That's fucking true. You're right. Penguins they can't even afford a flight. You can buy tickets to Lizardman.
Yeah. The penguins are like you got to pay to get to them. Although, as I mentioned, being at SeaWorld now, just last night they asked me if I want to do it. I might get to do a penguin encounter, so I'm going to do sideshow stunts for penguins if I get the chance.
Hey, dude, I want to get pictures of that, dude. If you, I'm sure you'll post them.
That's exactly why I want to do it. If I can get a picture or video of me doing the blockhead for a penguin and it reacting, that'll be like that's going to be a career highlight right there.
So here's some questions. So here's interesting. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but I used to do freak show shit when I was growing up. I used to have a stunt group called Freak Inc. So it's so funny that I wanted to get Freak tattooed over here once I released. Freak Inc. tattooed over here once I released, but it didn't work out. Whatever. I transitioned. Things happen. But
yeah, exactly. Life happens.
I want to send you a video though of me getting crucified and stuff. But
cool, man. Nice. You did a crucifixion?
Yeah, I did a crucifixion. ABC came to film it and stuff. I'm saving it. If you come in studio, I'd love to show it to you and get your reaction. I did a sewing my lips shut thing. I did a lot of stuff. I did a lot of stuff. I used to be really into it. So and here's the thing is I saw people doing Lizardman stunts and I didn't like. So here's the thing. Back in my scene, you came up with your own things. You came up with your own stunts and stuff. And if you were using somebody else's stuff, you had to come up with a unique variation. And I saw somebody that was doing.
The whole idea is that a lot of this stuff is based on 100-year-old acts that have been done. Sword swallowing's 4,000 years old. So I mean, if you're going to do it, try and do a little twist, right?
And I feel like, was not the stomach bile stunt your invention, or was that somebody else's?
That was actually not. So the gavage is an act that was invented by Matt the Tube Crowley as part of the original Jim Rose Circus around 1991-92.
It's called a gavage.
They called it gavage, which is a term that's the term they use when they're talking about force feeding geese to create foie gras, because it's basically the same process.
Interesting.
It's a combination of the word gastric lavage, which is just pumping fluid in and out of the gastric tract, the upper gastric tract.
Can you explain what that is? Because I kind of just briefly brushed over it.
Yeah. So Matt was a pharmacist, and he had a friend who he used to get medical devices from. I guess he collected them, thought they were interesting, and his friend gave him an old manual stomach pump, and so he decided to see if he could use it on himself. So what it is you thread tubing, just gastric, it's like aquarium tubing. You thread that up the nose, goes down the back of the throat into the stomach, and you hook it up to a big pump, and you could pour whatever you want into the pump, and then just pump it in. And the way that Matt turned this into an act was it's actually, before they called it gavage, he called it bile beer, because he would just pour like 40 ounces of beer into the pump and, maybe squirt some ketchup in it, a couple of things just to be a little extra gross and funny about it. And then pump that all into the stomach. It mixes with the bile in the stomach, and then you pull it back out using that pump. And then you take the tube out of his nose, put it in a cup. They pump it back into the cup.
Can I hold you real quick? So to describe for people watching me, he'd pull it into his nose like this, and then there's usually like a kind of like a cylinder thing that's see-through, right?
A big pump, like a big syringe.
Yeah, exactly, like a syringe. So imagine a giant syringe is there, and then they pump it out, and then so they pump all this stuff into his stomach, and then they pump back into the syringe the contents mixed with the stomach bile. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Right. No, you're good. And so, I mean, that's the basic act of drinking. That was the Bio Beer Act. And it became famous when Matt did it with Jim Rose on the first Lollapalooza tour that they did, because people like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Soundgarden and some of the guys from the bands were coming on stage, and they would drink it with Matt. He'd pour out like 6 cups. So yeah, it was the Bio Beer Challenge. Now, after a couple of years, Matt and Jim fell out, so Matt left the circus. So Enigma, who was already part of the circus, he learned to do the act. He taught himself to do it, and so he started doing it. When Enigma left the circus, Jim brought me in. It was one of the acts that he requested that I learn to be able to do in the show, and I went into it thinking, just like you mentioned, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. But with doing it with Jim, Jim's very he likes to talk about how creative he is, but really he needs a script. And he didn't want to learn a new script. So every time I did it with Jim, I did it the same way it had been done with Matt and Enigma and me. We did it Jim's stage way. As soon as I left Jim, I was immediately like, I got to come up with my own version of it. And I actually came up with a few different versions of it. I came up with a color change version.
That's the one I'm familiar with, where you mix the blue dye with the yellow
juice. Yeah. It's blue. I pump blue Powerade into my stomach, chug a beer. The yellow and blue mix in my stomach to turn green. We pull it back out and then reserve it. I actually got
that's
to the
genius.
point where
I didn't realize. So you actually pump in another liquid, so it's not just really bile; it's something else, but it's like called the bile. Genius. It's like a yellow thing.
It was a way. It was a way of proving that it was completely real. Because I'm like, look, here's this blue fluid that gets pumped in my nose. It's inside my stomach. Here's the beer. You can see it. I'm gonna chug it, right? And then mix it up, pull it back out, and you can see the mix there. And yeah, not that people necessarily thought it was fake, but it was just a nice thing to point out. Yeah, and it was, and I obviously wrote my own script around it, stuff like that. Like
it's very Penn and Teller of you.
They're huge influences of mine. Very big influences. Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, like especially the way that you're doing your carnival barking thing. I love this motherfucker's on his cell phone. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna move this over here because you don't have any questions to listen, man. We're vibing out over here. It's like I was saying. No, as I'm saying, dude, your carnival barking shit's like superb and all that. And do you have any? But I mean, so do you feel like you have any sideshow stuff that you've invented yourself, or just?
Oh yeah, there's a few things that I've definitely as far as I can tell, no one was doing them before. One of the big ones for me was with Pierce weightlifting, because I took over for Lifto in the Jim Rose circus. I came in. Lifto's a good friend. But I talked to him and sort of our old influences. And so I started helicopter spinning with some of my lifts. And that became one of my signature show closers, was to lift a beer keg with my ears and then helicopter spin it. Because lots of people were doing heavy weights, but almost, I could never find a record of anybody actually doing full on spins.
I used to hang beer cans. I used to do that.
A beer keg. So I was usually lifting between 35 and 45 pounds. Yeah, about 35 to 45 pounds was my average show weight. Forget it. This is funny. Go back to the record thing. Tie this back to the beginning. When I went to set the world's record for the heaviest weight lifted and helicopter spun by pierced ears, they actually asked me to drop down from my top weight because they didn't want me to go over the heaviest weight just plain lifted without spins. They didn't want to make that record look weaker. So they actually had me lift a lighter weight than what I could. So even my world record isn't really the true record, because at the time I could already lift 10 more pounds than that with ease.
They still want to crush it that bad?
Yeah, there's a game that you play too. Like as a performer, I always tell people, Dan Block, who's another Austin sideshow performer, he recently got a world record for the fastest balloon dog tied through his face. So, he does the balloon in the nose out the mouth, but then inflates it, does a balloon dog, and he ties it in less than. He's the only person that does it really, and he does it. But the record, I told him, like, you don't do your real fastest time, you don't do your real heaviest weight, because you get paid every time you go on the TV show. If you're doing the TV show, that's why you do it. It's also why you don't do it for free. You wait until they want you on the show so that you can get paid to do it. But you don't do your real record, because then you can come back and break your old record and get paid again.
Exactly.
You only ever do enough to set the record as far as public is. And that's why all these records, you're like, I don't know if that's the real record or not, because that dude's probably holding back trying to get a second paycheck.
That's so fucking genius. Dude, those are, man, dropping jewels, man. Like, honestly, that is fucking genius. So here's the thing on the balloon dog. So I used to do the condom thing and only accidentally one time inflated it. So does he have to get it slightly submerged into his thing to get it inflated? So does he have how does that work?
He gets the and you can find later. He's a great guy. I've become good friends. I actually just taught him the gavage about a year and a half ago. I helped him develop it and went through it with him. He and his
how long did it take to develop? Do you need a big fucking thing, or do you need a small tube?
Well, you you need a few basic sideshow skills. Like you basically if you can do mental floss and sword swallowing,
I could do
you've got the
blockhead
basic.
back in the day
Yeah.
with the small enough fucking screwdriver. I can do the
Right.
condom one. I can do.
Yeah, see, if you can do the condom, that's a good start. The next step is to actually be able to kind of like sword swallowing, swallow the tube down your throat instead of having it come out your mouth. Let it go down the back of your throat to your stomach,
Okay.
and then it's basically it's as simple as just operating the pump. But there are a lot of little tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that can help. Like it's for me to teach it to myself and be able to do it properly on stage took about I mean, I figured out the mechanics of the act within a day or two and was able to do them. But like I say, to do them well, to do them properly for the stage took months because you're also conditioning your body, getting it used to doing this and doing it over and over again.
Because like that, the worst part is when you're fucking when you got like this and you're like you got something in your nose and you get you gonna sneeze or something. Yeah, that's the worst part. Oh my god, that's the scary part.
And that's what a lot of people don't sort of realize about sideshows. That like sometimes, you know, some of the simpler things like blockhead will show somebody. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, okay, I get it now. That's not hard. That's not hard." Like now you see, you don't understand. You're thinking about it. You gotta be. You can do it, but there's a difference between being able to do it and being ready to do it on stage. And to be able to do it on stage, you've got to be. There can't be any more hiccups, no more gagging, no more danger sneezes. You've got to have already put all of that shit in the past before you're ready to take it in front of an audience. Because if you have to still think about the stunt you're doing, you can't be focused on the audience and having a relationship with them. And that's what live entertainment's really about.
And you do a great job about that. So it almost seems like what I love about the Lizardman is I feel like you're more of a like I said, you're the face of this. You're like the face of sideshow. You're the face of body modification and stuff like that. You're more of like, let me introduce you. Let me explain this to you in a way. You're a teacher. You're a fucking
I still definitely have that aspect. It's one of the things that I do enjoy is that I'm not like a magician who's like, oh, I can't tell you about tricks. I love explaining to people and talking about sideshow, especially people that don't know that much about it. Because it's always been my feeling that the smarter my audience is, the better they're going to be. Like if they really understand what I'm doing, they'll appreciate it more. Like you can just be like, look at me, shove the sword down his throat. Yeah, that's pretty clap, 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 clap. But if I actually have a chance to tell you more about it as an art form and what it does to you over a lifetime of doing it, you get a deeper appreciation for it. And see, that's what I've always sort of strived to do. Yeah, like I said, like it's. If I have a theory of performance or like how I try to approach going on stage with an audience, I want them to leave knowing more and appreciating more.
So what was your first, like what first you got you into was it first into body mod or was it first into sideshow? Or was it kind of same time?
They both kind of kicked off, became like real focuses for me at the same time, which is about 17, 18 years old. I think it's just because it was the right time in my life. A lot of stuff happened. You're developing. I was exploring and just it was one of those. I've always had this sort of general philosophy of I believe in knowing yourself. Right, get to know yourself. The only way you do that is to try stuff. Throw yourself out there and do it. Now, at a certain point, once you learn, then you can kind of back off and be like, okay, here's my bubble. Here's where I work the best. I think I've transitioned into that part of my life. But when I was younger, it was very much about I want to try this stuff. I want to find out what I like and what I don't like, and I want to make sure that I try the whole buffet. Right? I want to get as much in as I can. And so, as things that struck me was as I started getting into, and this was about the same time I got into martial arts. So a lot of the sideshow stunts for me, I actually was first exposed to as martial arts demonstrations. Things like standing on swords and skewers through arms and things like that. They were mind over matter.
That's
like
actually a fucking that's a really fucking good point because I think that's kind of the first time I saw that because I saw it associated with feats of strength and then it became feats of sideshow. That's such a fucking great point. You obviously looked into this. You've looked into the history.
Oh, yeah.
So
well,
obvious.
And once you do look into it, you see that it's like, okay, yeah, there's these basic skill sets and different people historically and in different cultures have applied them different ways. So yeah, you go to the right place and time in history. Sword swallowing is how you start a cult and get worshipped as a living god. You go to another time, culture, and place in history, and sword swallowing is something that people, pay a quarter to see in a tent and go, oh, that was cool, what a weirdo, and walk out. But it's the same things. Like people have used these principles to do everything from overthrow governments, start religions, or entertain people on a Saturday afternoon.
Here's the thing, though. It's like
all the same stuff.
you can sword swallow and all that, or you can suck a fucking fat dick. It's like the same concept. You know what I mean? It's like one person's probably making a lot more money than the other person, but
well, that is true. I always I bemoan that. I go, look, I've swallowed a lot of swords in my life. I haven't sucked a single dick, but I am pretty sure because I've had my dick sucked, right? Like if somebody tried to suck my dick the way I swallow a sword, that'd be the worst blowjob I ever got in my fucking life. That'd be awful, right? They would have to line up with their head all the way back. They're like, no, just put it straight down, hold it there, and then pull it straight back out. That's not a fucking blowjob. What's the point of that? Like there is no relationship between sword swallowing and cock sucking. Like,
how would you know? You never
joke,
sucked a cock before. You don't know.
Here's the, but I do know sword swallowers who have, and they've said the same thing where they're like, yeah, I wouldn't suck a dick the way I swallow a sword because that would be a horrible fucking blowjob. Like it's just, it's not a matter of just depth. I mean, let's say if we want to get into it like that, like I'm not wiggling my tongue on the sword.
I'm glad that you answered that because there was multiple of my friends. They're like, ask them about the tongue and oral sex and all that. I'm like,
well, you see, that is a thing. So, and I've also told people, I go, look, if you're not good at eating pussy or sucking dick, splitting your tongue won't make you better. It will just make you bad in one more way. But if you're good at it, if you know what you're doing, it will give you a whole new set of tools to work with.
That's what I was saying because I'm like, dude, because your tongue split can like cradle it. It's like you have a whole like first off, you can do everything you could do before if you know what to do, and then you can come at it from two other different ways. It's like
you give the worst mechanic in the world the most expensive wrench, he's still the worst mechanic, right? You give the best mechanic in the world a brand new super high tech wrench, he's even better. And that's what a split tongue is. Like whatever you're good at to be there. You just gotta get good.
I think
first.
I might need to get a split tongue over here, dude. I don't know, but I don't want to step on the Lizardman shit.
No, man, there are literally now thousands of people, and that's the point.
That's the point. That's what I'm saying, dude. You're the one that got me thinking. Maybe you get a split tongue and shit. The Lizardman has been knocking doors down with this fucking shit.
And so here's the thing: I'm the second person in recorded history to successfully split their tongue. The first person was a woman named Dustin Allors in 1996. She did it as a personal ritual with monofilament, and it was a rough ritual. I got all the respect in the world for what she did, but it's also the sort of thing that's not going to work for most people because she didn't just want a split tongue; she wanted the experience of what she was doing and everything else. I wanted a split tongue, and I wanted to figure out a way that, and I knew other people did too. I wanted to figure out a way that we could all get what we wanted. So for me, it wasn't about like, oh, I get to have a split tongue and I'm the only dude in the world. No, that's silly. You don't hike up the mountain to be the only person at the mountaintop. You hike up the mountain to break a trail so other people can follow you up. And that's what I tried to do.
You're a free climber. You straight up are a free climber of society and fucking culture and shit. And that's such dude, straight up, you really are. You did create a trail. You did create like the first trail on the fucking face of a mountain and shit. And that is so true.
Thank you, man. That's like I said, that's part of my general thinking was if I can do this for myself, it means that I'll be doing it for other people at the same time. Now I don't want to paint myself as some freaking altruist. I'm just as selfish at other times as whatever, but I feel like when you're doing stuff like that, I feel like when you're doing certain types of things, and I feel like this aspect of body mass is one, you don't just do it for yourself, you do it for everybody else. So I even say like now, like with helping Dan and some other performers and working with people now is like, I've entered this phase where one of my goals is to be the person I wish had existed when I was starting out. I was like, because I remember when I was first getting inside, it was not easy, right? And it was back in the 90s where you go to someplace and try to explain to a bar or a venue like what you did. They'd be like, why the fuck would we want you to come in here and do that on our stage, right? And you're like, well, you got to see it to understand what the appeal is and all this. But I always realized like, someday I'm going to meet this dude and he's going to open all these doors for me. And like that just generally doesn't happen. Well, now when I can be a dude who opens the door, I try to be that dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, makes a lot of sense, honestly. I mean, I just think, I mean, culturally, you're just like a door opener and stuff. So it wouldn't make like it wouldn't surprise me, you know, that you're that way, just in your own personal life. But yeah, straight up, I mean, many people were very like. All my friends were very excited about the Lizardman interview. So let me get to.
Nice.
Let me see some more. You have no idea. You have no idea, dude. Like seriously, people that
Well,
were.
it is so wonderful. I tell people all the time, you know, when I get covered, I'm like, it's so great to hear, and they'll be like, yeah. But the other thing for me is like, I love that people think about me that way, but I can't think about myself that way because I don't want to be the out of control ego guy.
No.
I gotta keep myself in check, you know.
No. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's dude, you had to listen to some of our other episodes and stuff because we've been talking about you for the past couple days. Because I don't know if you realize you did have a very interesting hand in some of our San Antonio beef. So I'll get to it now, just because I keep thinking about it.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I keep hinting at it, so I'll get to it. Let me get to let me see, middle view, because maybe DC, you haven't heard about this?
What's that?
All right, so basically, there was this beef between the Station Comedy Club and the Blind Tiger Comedy Club.
Oh,
and then
Yep,
Davey
sure.
Jackson came up and ran up on fucking White Cotton about the T-shirts. And what tripped me the fuck out was when he posted the video, the Lizardman is right there. The Lizardman is right next to fucking White Cotton and Davey Jackson.
So he did post that video.
He did, and here's the craziest shit. He didn't tag you, and what happens is White Cotton goes, "I'm talking to this guy over here." And I'm like, "The Lizard Man? You mean the Lizard Man? You're talking to the Lizard Man?" Like, and then Davey's like, "I don't got a problem with that guy." I'm like, "You don't got a problem with the Lizard Man? Like, what do you mean? Like, stop disacknowledging the Lizard Man. All right, he's right there. What the fuck are you talking about?"
So let me so that was a very sort of, for me, I don't know how much it comes across in my face in that video. I got. It
was so funny. I posted the picture of your face going like this.
Because literally, I had just gotten Dan, the three-legged dog sideshow that I was just talking about. I had convinced him and his girl to come down to the Blind Tiger with me to do a spot for the charity show. And I've known Jay for a long time. And when he started doing the EMT charity thing there, I was like, fuck yeah, charity for EMTs. I'm fucking in. Let's go. Plus, you know, I like stage time. I like to have fun. I like the Blind Tiger. But yeah, so we're there after the show and we're just today. And incidentally, I was high as fuck in that video, just fucking on Pluto. And so yeah, we're talking, and he walks up, and I sort of, you get that, we're in a dark parking lot, right? You know, the spidey senses kicked up for a second. I was like, hey, there's somebody walking up on us. And I look over and I'm like, all right, and then I realized he's holding his phone like down here like that, and just part of my brain just immediately went like, I stopped myself from saying anything. I was like, I'm just going to see where this goes, write it out.
You thought it was about you, right? Weren't you so shocked that it wasn't about you, that it was about this?
It wasn't that I was shocked that it wasn't about me, but I was immediately on guard, right? Because I saw the camera. I was like, what kind of gotcha fucking weird shit's about to go down? What am I about to, is question's going to happen? And he starts, like I say, he goes right at Jay about these t-shirts or whatever. I'm like, okay, I have no idea what the fuck's going on. But in my head, the main thing that's like going through my head over and over again is I'm like, dude, obviously you have the internet. Don't you know that the person walking up on somebody else with their phone on it, you're always wrong. You're already wrong. I don't know what's going on here, but you're fucking wrong because you are ambushing somebody with a fucking camera in a parking lot at nearly 1 a.m, like after a show, and interrupting a conversation like that. Really, that was more so that it wasn't about me, but like, especially when you said, I don't have a problem with this guy. Like, there was a moment there where I was just a twitch away from being like, I'm about to have a problem with you because you think you can just walk up and interrupt the conversation I'm having with somebody and filming it like that. I'm like, who the fuck does that? Like, fucking go learn some manners and come back and handle your business like a goddamn adult.
No, I literally was like, I was so mad that he embarrassed us in front of the Lizard Man. I'm like, God damn it, don't embarrass San Antonio in front of the Lizard Man, that he comes down and he's trying to have a conversation.
I would never attribute that to San Antonio because
thank God.
That type, and like I said, I really don't know shit about him or the situation. Like, I have no knowledge of what's actually the mechanics that are going on. but I mean, he's throwing off all the red flags to me. Like, dude, I know you. You're the crazy jackass in the seat in every scene and every time. Like, you're rolling up on people in the parking lot after a show with your camera on, trying to catch them on video. I don't know, like you said, some bullshit about T-shirts. I don't know if somebody took T-shirts, stole T-shirts. What the fucking allegation is? But like, this is not how adults handle things. And yeah, like I wouldn't put that on San Antonio. I put that squarely on him. He looked like a full-on jackass. I mean,
All right, well, Lizardman, speak it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just wanted to get your take on that because I was so I'm glad I guess it was good that they didn't mention you because like they put my name in this shit. I'm about to kick somebody in the face. So I'm glad that they did it, dude.
It's yeah. I mean, like, well, that's the whole thing is like I have nothing to do with it. There's a reason to. Like it does actually amuse me. I think it's actually kind of funny and great that yeah, I'm just this random thing. Like that's almost like a photo bomb type of situation, right?
No, it really was.
I'm glad to be in that.
Because like, I'm saying it was my favorite part because you have no idea. So Blind Tiger is like a big comedy club in San Antonio. Like, well, they're the alternative comedy club. So LOL is the big one.
I know about the Tiger and Jay's history. I've been showing up there randomly. Like I got invited for a set. I think the first time in like 2010.
I opened for you one time, and I've told people because and by I opened for you, I mean I was on the show before you performed.
Before, yeah. I actually have a story that I tell sometimes. I go, Vince Neil opened for me. What actually happened was the schedule got so fucked that Vince's people said either he goes on at this time or we're just fucking pulling out and leaving. So they put him on, and then they still made my dumb ass go out after him. I was like, really? Like after the fucking headliner plays, you're gonna make me wait 20 minutes for him to clear the stage.
That's when you go, give it up for my opener, Vince Neil, everybody.
And I did. I was like, you're gonna put me in this situation. I'm gonna do the cheesiest shit I can think of. I was like, that's right, Vince Neil opened for the Lizardman tonight to the 12 people that are still here.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't.
But I knew that I was aware that there was a little bit of that there was something going on like recently, a back and forth with different clubs or whatever. But yeah, I generally stay out of that. Like I'm like, well, the less I know, the less I have to think about it.
No, straight up, it was a great moment because, like I said, the funniest because I'm saying is comedy. So the funniest thing that could happen is always the funniest thing that could happen. So the funniest thing that happened is that Davey, who's like doing his own comedy thing with a couple other people, that White Cotton like they used to do the Blind Tiger, and then White Cotton came back and then said they split off to do their own thing, right? And so they come back to confront White Cotton. The Lizardman's there, and they don't even. But that's like the biggest video of the year. They don't even acknowledge the Lizardman. It's like the funniest shit to me for some reason. It's been the thing that's been on my mind forever. Where I'm like, neither of you are bigger than the Lizardman. Stop trying to dismiss the Lizardman. Because I'd be like, I'm trying to over here have a conversation with the Lizardman. You're gonna come up here and rub with me like this? Get the fuck out of here. It's like I have no problem with the Lizardman. It's between me and you, White Cotton. Like, don't be like this guy. He's not this guy. He's the fucking Lizardman. He's like fucking infinitely more popular and well known than either of you will be.
I gotta hire you as like a press agent or a publicist or something for me. You'd be running around finding everywhere I show.
I'm just straight up.
Why didn't you people pay more attention?
I'm just saying. It's like if it was like, dude, you're a straight up celebrity, and like I said, you can't even imagine like you don't know who you are because it's not even like, oh, I don't recognize him. Oh, you mean the guy tattooed like a lizard with the lizard implants? Like, oh, you don't recognize him? Oh, he's the other Lizardman? He's Lizardman 2, like Gallagher 2? No, he's the fucking Lizardman. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He didn't even get a mention in the fucking thing. It really offended me because it was more like, I was offended. I was like, what the fuck? I don't know. So I asked, so have you had any body mod ideas that you thought were too extreme? You said.
Right. Well, here's the one thing, and I've chased this for years, and I just recently got another lead on it, is bioluminescence. I back in the 90s when I was first like really getting into stuff and started to research, I found, and you might remember this if you remember like the news stories when they came out, because it made like Newsweek, a couple things, glowing mice. They were able to put jellyfish protein DNAs into mouse embryos.
And I remember the mouse ear. Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, the ear on the mouse was a different thing. That was, but it was an artificial ear, synthetic tissue. which is also an amazing
Are they
thing
still
and
doing
potential for
that? Are
body
they still growing
modification.
mices on ears?
Oh, well, they're not doing that specifically. That was sort of the a proof of concept kind of experiment.
They're
That was
doing
done.
it better
that
now?
technology, oh yeah, that stuff is still being worked on. Yeah, synthetic tissue and all that is still that's DARPA level stuff. Like the things that the Navy works on. The Navy has actually developed a foam that can replace bone. That's still very experimental.
You don't have a question for the Lizardman, DC?
What's that?
You have a question for the Lizardman? I'm sorry, DC's so fucking... Dude, I'm sorry, Lizardman. You have to understand. DC's been here for like 30 minutes just being politely not saying a goddamn word. Please, DC,
Right.
you came here promptly at 11. Ask Lizardman some questions. He's been doing a
Chime
podcast
in,
for
brother.
10 years.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to the start of this interview. You said you were having breakfast. What is breakfast for the Lizard Man?
Great question. I was going to ask, what's a day in the life of the Lizardman? Yeah!
There we
Where's
go.
simpatico?
All right, so breakfast for the Lizard Man used to be whatever was there, but during COVID, I decided to do a little bit of self-awareness examination stuff and try and establish better habits and whatever. One of them was to start eating a regular breakfast to get a set pattern in. So now for the last couple of years, breakfast for me is a cup of chai tea, a protein bar, a couple of different vitamins, and sometimes I'll have some toast or something else in the snack, but a lot of times it's just the tea and the protein bar because I'm not big on eating a lot of food in the beginning. Lunch is usually my biggest meal. I need a little bit of food to just get going in the morning, and then I'll have a pretty decent sized lunch. And then after that, it's usually just snacking throughout the day.
All right. I'm so sorry, Mr. Lizardman. I'm going to let you ask some more questions. Arturo Barnes tried to call in. And also Joe Beans asked the same question from BFR podcast. And it's going to be the same question. Does the carpet match the drapes? Arturo says, ask him what color it is. I need to know. And he tried to call in. And I love Arturo, so I have to ask.
I need to. Okay, so that is the classic question, right? That's one of those. There are some things that are
See,
true
Arturo,
no
you're a
matter
hack.
where you go.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
No matter where you go, somebody's going to ask about your day. If you get this is a joke I do. I say, if you told me when I was 14 years old that if I tattooed my face, everybody would want to see my dick, I would have had that shit tattooed right then and there. Would have been done, right? But,
That's our favorite. That's our favorite guest question: is how big is your penis? I just want to ask what color it is. We'll ask that after now because I know the Lizardman's cool. I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. Please go on.
I will tell you. Here's what I'll tell you about my dick and getting tattooed is that I always had the plan that I was going to do it, but it is not tattooed right now. It's just, for a while I had so many piercings that I wasn't sure if I was going to tattoo around them or what was going to go on. But what I figured out is now that I've completed the rest of my body, when I look in a mirror, I go, if I were to tattoo it green or scales now, it would just blend in, right? And you don't want your dick to blend in. You want that shit to stand right now. It stands out. I look like a cartoon alligator that somebody pasted a dick.
That
onto.
is such a good question. Yeah, would the Lizardman get a green dick or a red dick, like a fucking alligator? That's such a. So what would you get? Would you get a green dick or
like a cloaca?
There you go.
Just
that's literally you can split the penis. You can bifurcate the penis. I'm not going to do it. I have no interest in doing it, but it is possible, and I've seen it done.
Well, if you're going to commit to this lizard thing, I think you should go all the way. Let's go. Let's not.
Do lizards have a bifurcated penis? Is that true?
No, they just have a cloaca. It's like one piece.
This is what happens. This is the familiarity aspect. See, it always starts off with once people get they're like, hey. Now I think I should tell you what to do with your body. You're not doing enough. If you don't
exactly, DC. Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm just supporting your
this
art.
Guy's not my co-host. He's my guest today. I told him to shut up when the Lizardman showed up. Don't tell the Lizardman about his fucking penis, DC.
No, it's a cloaca. It's not a penis.
For 30 years almost, I've had people say to me "Oh, you got your dick tattooed?" And I'll be like, "Not yet. I got a piercing." Blah blah. And they're like, "Oh, well, here's what you should do." And I'm like, "That's a great idea for your dick." Right? I don't.
Yeah, get your dick split, DC.
I've been on the receiving end of that. And I'm like, it occurs to me, I have never once thought of telling someone else, "Hey, you know what you need to do with your dick?" No, that's but I get it almost every day.
That's such a good point. I'm tired of people sexually harassing the Lizardman. Let him fucking be. I just want to know what it looks like. I'm not telling him what to fucking do with it.
At it. that's horrible sexual harassment. If you're going to sexually harass me, make it fun for both of us.
That's a good point. Hey, so I had a quick question though. So you do. It sounds like you said you had piercings, right, on the genitals. Do you think that they added?
I used to have a 6-gauge apodralia, which, if you know what that is, it's the top to bottom through the head of the penis.
The industrial.
It's basically like a dick industrial.
He basically had a split penis. He just had a little bit of septum between it. Of industrial. So imagine your dick's like this.
It was a 6-gauge.
Imagine your dick's like this, and my finger's that. He had a nail going through this. If I'm right, you had a nail going basically through the head of your penis.
Taking it back to the sideshow, that's one of the first acts I ever did. I was hired to perform at a movie showing of the Bob Flanagan movie, The Super Masochist. If people are familiar with him or not, he's well known at BDMSC. Really, he was a performance artist, did a lot of crazy paint stuff, whatever. So he had a bio movie put out about him, and I took out my jewelry without telling anybody.
That's so genius! That's some Houdini shit.
I nailed my dick to a board for my performance art at this thing. And so the joke was always, some guys claim their dick is so hard they can drive a nail through a board with it. Well, I can drive a nail through my dick into a board.
That's fucking great. This chick's a lot like the other chicks. Bored. That's fucking, dude. That's so fucking good. Cause it's so genius. Cause it's like Houdini. It's like you still drove a nail through your dick, but you just did it 2 weeks before.
There's already a hole there, nice and healed.
That's so genius. I've looked into that one. I don't know why. I don't have any genital piercings, but I always thought, man, those would be so cool to have. At least like a not a Prince Albert, but the one that goes to the frenum underneath the dick. I always thought that'd be cool. So let me see.
Yeah, Prince Albert.
Yeah. So let me see. So are there any unforeseen health problems of being the lizard man? Like things that you wouldn't think about? I was thinking about the Teflon thing. Do you ever worry about those implants?
I don't worry about it, but they definitely. When I was getting them, I didn't sort of realize exactly how they were going to be. Like long term now, I realize it's basically it is like bone, and with your skin stretched over it being really thin. Like talking about martial arts before, like basically getting my implants kind of ended doing a lot of like intensive physical activities, because even if it hurts the other guy more to kind of headbutt into these horns, it hurts me a lot too. And that skin is so thin that it could very easily split. It's like having sharp cheekbones. As a boxer, it's a bad thing. You're going to get cut all the time. And so, now I kind of have to be a little bit careful of them. And going into it, that wasn't something that I kind of realized. I'm not that concerned about them otherwise. If they were in a different place, I might be, because we've seen with implants over cartilage, like on the chest, that they can sink in, kind of the pressure and tension from the skin can drive them into softer tissue. But being on my skull, mine should be fine. And, they're 1998 was when they were put in. So they've been in there quite a while, and I haven't had any issues. With other stuff like my tongue, my teeth, not really health issues that I can think of that would do it more. I think the common one they say with tattooing, right, is it becomes harder to screen for skin melanoma, because normally you look at somebody and go, oh, hey, you got a mole, you got a freckle, we should check that out. You can't always see them on me anymore.
On the teeth, do you ever get any nerve sensitivity?
Now, if your teeth are healthy, when you're filing teeth, it's basically like trimming your nails. You're just you're cutting off enamel, the outer enamel. So my teeth were X-rayed beforehand, and the dentist was telling me that he can tell by color too. There's a slight shift in the color as you go deeper into the enamel of the tooth, so you tell where you're getting. But since I had thick, healthy teeth, I had a lot of enamel that we could shave off and leave points, because the nerve is just kind of right there in the center. It's still well protected. I've never had any sensitivity with them at all from that.
As well, you ever cut your tongue when you're just like, you don't have like a...
Well, when my teeth were first sharpened, I'm laying back in the dentist chair, he files them down, and he's got the little mirror over the top, and he's like, so what do you think? And I looked at him, and I just kind of, my upper teeth, I stuck them out and did like an overbite. And as I was pulling them back in, I just, lightly dragged them over my lower lip, and I actually caused one of them was sharp enough that it cut my lip right there. And so the dentist was like, I'll take a little bit off that one, But, and I mean, just like everybody else, I bite my tongue, bite my lip every now and then, and it just hurts a little bit more, I think.
Nice. And I hate, if I know I've been drinking, you'll be able to see it back. So I asked, have there been any body mods that you thought were too extreme that you didn't do? I asked this 3 times, right?
What's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say. So once I did this, so I was talking about bioluminescence, and that one was one like I found a company that was starting to look at using them with human subjects, and it's, like I said, I just recently was talking to someone that I met randomly in New York about it. But it seems like in the future, this is something we might be able to achieve: is basically glowing people. Yeah,
And
so
it's
just like
from the
like
jellyfish?
like a jelly. Yeah, it'd be putting jellyfish proteins into a human being. So essentially, you could get it into your skin cells in a way that every one of your skin cells would be producing this protein. You would be able to glow like a jellyfish.
Would you
And
put
I've
it
always
into
thought
like
it'd
a
be cool to have,
sleeve or something? Like, would it actually be into the
Well,
skin?
That is the big technical question, right? It's like how we're gonna actually the way it's done now, the way they've done it with glowing mice, and I believe there was a French lab that did it with rabbits. They have to get them when they're embryos. So what they do is they basically add that bioluminescent protein to the embryonic organism so that it becomes part of their DNA. So as they grow and develop their skin cells already have this protein in it. Their body's already producing skin cells that have it.
That
Because
doesn't sound
they've
like
got the protein that commands it.
sounds like a mod that you're looking at. Was there any mods that you thought about at one point or another, and then you're like, I'm thinking about this. You know what? This doesn't match my ethos.
Yeah, here's a good example. I think probably of that is what they call eyeball tattooing, which is really just it's an ink injection into your sclera, into the whites of your eyes. So the first person that was the guinea pig for that was Shannon Laratt, who's the founder of the body modification e-zine that I
BME
for. BME. And
that brings me to another question somebody wanted me to ask you. Great.
Okay, but anyway, when Shannon, for years, I was doing research for what we were calling eyeball tattooing, and we had found some vague references historically for it and whatnot. And then Shannon's wife at one point got a scleral implant. It's Rachel Laratt. She got a little star in the white of her eye implanted in a clinic in Denmark. And I ended up talking to them, and we figured, like, yeah, it definitely was possible to do. Then Shannon decided to just jump in head first and do it with an artist who was willing to write. And so they did it just as an experiment. And I was like, I think this might be cool, something to do, but that's the wrong way to do it. And I mean, I don't know how much you may have followed or seen, but like multiple people have lost eyesight and lost their actual eyeballs at this point because it's being done by people who aren't qualified. Essentially, there's nobody doing it who's actually qualified to do it. And they're making guesses, but they're making guesses with people's eyesight.
Well, that's
now,
wild.
Sure, there's a lot of people it's worked out for and that have been okay. But there's also enough people that it hasn't been okay that I'm like, there's no way there are certain conditions that I would do it under. And like I say, there's a clinic in Denmark that I believe that done by trained professionals, surgeons who are qualified to do certain other procedures, they could accurately and in a controlled manner put ink in your eye safely.
Is that what you want?
People are not. Well, I think it would be cool. I would definitely consider it if that was an option. But
Red
those
ink?
people are not offering it. But you see, the people that right now are saying, hey, I'll inject ink into your eyes are, and some of them are even my friends. But with all due respect, I'm like, you're not qualified to do this, and I'm sure as hell not letting you do it to me.
Well, what kind of ink would you want? What kind of eyes would you want?
Well, the end effect that I want is I'd probably go full green, kind of like some alligator and crocodile eyes.
Oh, they're full green with just black slits.
I have green eyes anyway. So if I took the whites out of my eyes and made them all green around there, and I just have the little pupil in the middle, I think it's caimans that have eyes that are kind of like that. There's a few different reptiles that do.
I was thinking if you went red eyes, you could do the whole reptilian cryptid thing. So I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
I'd be really playing into the David Icke crowd.
You're right. I'm sorry. I don't want to give that fucker any more ammo against you. That'd be great if it was just you against David Icke. Like, I'm no control of the country. Stop it, David Icke. I know you do. I know you do. Fucking just admit it.
Hey, you know what? If Jake Paul's got Misfits boxing, right? I'll box David.
Yeah, say something to Lizardman before you leave. Me and Lizardman have a good time. What are you gonna say to him?
Enjoy the Lizardman. Thank you for being in Texas.
Thank you.
It's all good. I love you, DC. We're gonna get you back on the show. Yeah. I love you, DC.
Hey,
throw those cigarettes back at me real quick. Can you open the door? He ran away. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back, Lizard Man.
All right. Just holding down the fort of the podcast while you're chasing cigarettes. Nicotine, man. Nicotine.
Stay safe. All right. Hell yeah. Sorry about that, boss. I feel bad about DC. He came in and he was like a really dope dude, and he's got a badass comic. Go to inferno.earth. We're gonna promote the fuck out of his Kickstarter on September 15th to October 15th. You guys, check out DC. It's called Killer Stan. It's gonna be badass. I'm going to definitely do a review of the comic, and by that I mean say everybody buy it. So let's get back to Lizard Man.
Right.
Sorry about that, boss.
Cool. No problem, brother.
All right, so we have is there a lizard woman?
I mean, in terms of somebody who is body modified to be, not really. There's
I mean a woman for the Lizard Man.
Oh well, yeah. I've been married for this we're getting close. Damn, we're getting close to my 21st anniversary.
Holy shit! Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking amazing.
That's why I said thank my wife for me being in Texas. She's born and raised in Austin, and I met her the first time I came through in 1999, and then in 2001 we got an apartment together in Austin, and in 2003 we got married, and been all good ever since.
Why Austin? Did you grow up in Texas, or did you grow up in Austin, or what?
No, because like I said, because she was born and raised there, and I came through on tour, and yeah, am a touring performer. I didn't live at the time that we met. I didn't even have an address. I was having my mail sent to my parents' place back in New York because I was literally living in my car and on the road. I was either on a tour, living on a tour bus, or driving around, couch surfing, visiting friends, doing shows, living in my car. And so yeah, from in '99 I went out with the Jim Rose Circus, and then from then to 2001 was just basically on tour, and I said with little breaks in between, living in the car, staying with her sometimes down in Austin, and then in 2001 we got an apartment together.
And so, what do you feel like you're most passionate about right now? The body mod stuff or your performance stuff? Like, what do you feel like you're really working on right now, or is it even something else, a third thing?
I mean, I definitely put the majority of sort of work, or what I'm going to call work, into performing right now. Like, so because the body modification for me is, I do love it. I enjoy it. And it's a world that I've come to, I got into it. I think like most people do is like, oh, you want a tattoo? You go get a tattoo. You don't necessarily get into the world of tattooing. You just get what you want and you're happy with it. I think a lot of people go that way, and that's great. That's actually, a wonderful, wonderful thing. Get what you want out of it. But, you spend enough time and do enough stuff. And I was like, I wanted extreme body modification. I became, part of that world. It's a community that I exist in, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, at the end of the day, once I've gotten my stuff that I want taken care of, it's I still have a casual interest in other people. I'm happy to meet them and hear the stories. There's a lot of cool and interesting projects going out there, some of which are a lot weirder than me, but it's for what I actually do is I go out and I perform. So that occupies most of my working lifetime.
Do you find it kind of hard being the face of that when you see maybe people doing stuff that you don't necessarily agree with, and you're like, you just like disassociate yourself from that? You're like, hey, I do what I can do, and all these other things, they're not me. They're just, these other people are doing stuff.
I think that's, it's the only sort of responsible way to, because there's a difference between being the face of it. Being the face of something is something you don't have a choice over. Like I've never said I'm going to be the face of bodybuilding, or I am the face of modern sideshow or something. But
did you think about that maybe as a kid? Like maybe, because it seems like you did a very extreme thing, and it seems like you're very passionate about like things that you choose about. So
I thought about dream, like if you dream of being a rock star, right? But you don't necessarily, did Bono dream of being the face of AIDS in Africa? No.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Then when he got there, that's what happened. So it's something that when people say that about me, it's one of the greatest honors, one of the greatest compliments I can hear, is that people think that I am emblematic or representative. And I do take it seriously as a responsibility. But there's a difference between being the face and being the person who says something like it. That's where I think it's overstepping. I'm like, I'm not going to tell anybody else how to live. I will tell you my opinion. I will, attempt to back it up with what I feel is a rational argument, whatever. And if I disagree with someone, I'm not going to say like, oh, they shouldn't be able to do that. They shouldn't do it. I just take like I just said with eyeball tattooing. A lot of people involved with that, and people with tattooed eyeballs, they're my friends, and I'm just like, look, for me, and I explain why. It's a risk management sort of thing. I don't feel that it's a proper risk, and I don't feel that you can say that you've had any proper training in it. When you don't have a medical degree, you're not an ophthalmologist. You're not even a tattoo artist technically. For some of these people, it's literally just, hey, I jabbed ink in my eye and got lucky. Like it's rolling the dice. I feel like I'd be better served by putting my life savings on a roulette table. Other people think it's a perfectly acceptable risk, and that's their call. It's their eyes. I'm not going to tell them what to do with it, and it's actually something that bothers me. I guess it's a form of, like, maybe some people call it gatekeeping, right? Like I don't like that in any form. So I'm like, if I'm the representative, I'll take that seriously, and I will always try to be a good representative. If people are going to make me, or the general public puts me in that role, but I am not going to try to overstep that and start to draw lines for other people.
Well, I think that's very healthy. I think that's a very smart way of doing it, because I mean, I hate to be a part of that, to be like, oh, well, Lizardman is the face of extreme body modification. I guess I'm kind of part of that problem, but I do honestly appreciate your philosophy behind it, because I think that a lot of people,
Right.
like, I mean, you hear people get really like embarrassing tattoos, but at least they have some kind of thought process behind it. They can have like whatever behind it, and it is interesting that you seem like you've always had a medical understanding behind what you're doing. You're like, all right, like you said, risk management I think is always an important thing
Yeah.
when it comes to doing stunts or doing anything. It's like, all right, well,
Mhm.
it's interesting that also the fact that you have adhered so much to your philosophy, I think, has resulted in you making dividends, because even people now are like, it's obvious the Lizardman has a psych background. He's very well spoken and stuff like that. I mean, I think what's most shocking about you isn't your body modification; it's the fact that your philosophy behind it is so sound and that it can inspire people. And I think that you really are the living art that you've been trying to create. Where it's like you said, people can walk away from a painting. It's something that somebody did. You can even destroy a
Right.
painting, And to that extent, I mean, but to destroy a
It's
person
yeah,
is a
and
lot more difficult. There's a if somebody ever killed the Lizard Man, I'm not trying to put that out there or anything like that, but I mean, it's like
yeah,
that.
don't get me Selena out here, man.
Yeah, but I mean, it is very interesting. But it seems like that's what you've thought about. It
Yeah.
seems like
And
you've looked at
it's
all those different aspects, and you put a lot of
right.
as much thought as you put into your look. You've obviously put into what people would think about it, which is actually um, should be something a lot of comedians think about, and the performance itself.
Well,
What they're
it comes
saying.
back to some of what I said before, like, know thyself. Like, you got to get yourself figured out. People say things like, how can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? Blah, blah, blah. And all these things come back to basically get your shit together, right? Get a hold of you. If you haven't figured out you yet, then you don't really have a good shot at figuring out the rest of the world. And yeah, the way that you figure out is to go try stuff and then do things like that. But once you've got it figured, then you do it. And so we were talking about like risk management. This is sort of like it's part of how I was raised. And I realize, now being in my 50s, looking back, how lucky I was that I got the opportunity to get to know myself. I'm the product of an environment, growing up very rural and in a place that had really harsh winters. Like, you got to be comfortable with yourself alone in a room quietly is sort of a baseline sort of thing. But also the preparedness and risk management is, I used to say a lot of times in my shows, like, I do the stupidest shit you can imagine, but I do it in the smartest possible way. I remember as a kid, I learned about Evel Knievel. I remember getting really excited one time watching like one of Evel's stunts, and they talked to his mathematician, because I was a nerd. I've always been a nerd. And as a
He
kid,
had a mathematician.
loving it. Yeah, because you know what stunt jumps are? They're physics, right? So they talk to you. He's like, here's my guy who does all the math. He figures out how long the ramp needs to be, what the speed is, what the minimum, does all of that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Evil's still got to get on that motorcycle and have the balls to twist the throttle, which is huge. But I was so impressed with the fact that, hey, before you do the crazy thing, you can figure out how to make sure you're almost guaranteed success. Now, as we all know, Evil still got, broke every goddamn bone in his body multiple times. But I was like, yeah, if you're going to do something nuts, you figure out the smartest way to do it. And then you roll the dice.
And that's actually very interesting because I think it speaks to a question that I wanted to ask, which has kind of got me thinking about it while you're talking. What does the lizard man fear?
Well, I'll be trite. I mean, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So when I think about like fear, to me is a word that I use to describe things that are irrational, right? Like, so I wouldn't say that I fear grizzly bears, but if I'm walking through the forest and one suddenly appears, I'm not happy, right? I'm like, but it's, yeah, I don't, fear to me is when you let your brain get occupied by what it is, right? If you have a fear of spiders, that means you're always worried you're about to see one, right? It's like, oh shit, is that a spider? Oh God, is that, I feel like that's the sort of thing that's the reason we only have fear itself to fear, is because that kind of anxiety makes people do stupid things, right? It's what drives, stuff like the TSA, like, oh no, what if there's a this? What if there's a that? Oh no, now you got to carry it. That paranoia drives people, and it's an unhealthy way to be. It's an unhealthy mindset. So, I fear, like I worry about, or I try to stay calm and not let myself be overtaken and driven by fear. Don't be like, oh no, what are all the usual fear things? What, there's so many people crossing the border. Oh no, the wrong people are moving into your neighborhood. Shit like that. That's what fear does. That it creates those people. It creates those situations. So that's, I'll go with, fear.
Yeah, I mean that's very deep. Honestly, I feel the same way. Most things I fear are a fear of things that I fear. It becomes a Russian nesting doll of nonsense.
Yeah, it just keeps running. That's why I felt myself like going in circles there. I'm like, yeah, it does just kind of turn around on it. So it always comes back to, oh, just don't be so, be practical, be prudent, be reasonable, but don't be afraid, right? Yeah.
Do you ever fear that you'll wake up as a lizard man and not want to be the lizard man or not know yourself?
Well, that's and a part of the big thing about when you get to a point where you know yourself, I feel, and for me, like that came in my 20s, like it really, more fully formed probably in my mid to late 30s. But if you have a good sense of yourself, it's a lot easier to trust yourself to make decisions. And and people to this day, so they'll be like, "Oh, you don't think you're going to regret that someday?" I'm like, "Is that how you operate? Like, who's thinking like that? Do you look at a decision and go, well, I might regret that, so let's go ahead and do it? No, if I look at something and I think I might regret it, I think about it more.
Yeah, right. Am I going to do it?
I try to figure out I go, oh, well, if I do that, this bad thing might happen. And if that bad thing happens, I'd regret it. I go, okay, so what I need to do is figure out how to have that bad thing not happen before I do the other thing. Like, work out a better plan. Now, there's always going to be some risk. That's life, whatever. But like I say, if you've got a good sense about yourself and you've taken the time to really figure out what you're about, and you're acting in your interests, in doing the thing you want to do, then you can trust yourself to take that chance.
Do you think that and I'm not ever wishing this on anybody, but I honestly, my biggest fear is Alzheimer's. Do you think that the Alzheimer's lizard man is going to be like, he's going to be shocked by the lizard man, or do you think he's going to be excited that I'm further along in my lizard madness than I thought I was?
I've had some relatives go through various forms of Alzheimer's and other forms of mental sort of degradation with aging like that, and it is so rough. But I would say, if I was going to try and make a prediction, I would say that very often it seems that they kind of regress a little bit to younger selves. And I'm pretty sure that young me would think that current me is fucking great, would be really happy with the results. So if when I get older, if I regress, I'd be like, oh God, that's great, even if I don't recognize myself. But here's a sort of a dark backstage joke from a couple of years ago. I was doing this festival, and one of the guys, I think he was the youngest guy in the room, was talking about like, well, you think you'll ever retire? You know, getting out of show to some of the older ones. I was like, well, I'm not gonna officially retire, but I'll probably do less and less stuff. You know, only do stuff that I want to do. And you know, there's a couple other guys trying to do around, and it came around. And the guy who originally asked the question, my friend Sam, he Samora, he looks at me, he goes, dude, they're never gonna let you retire. You're gonna have Alzheimer's in a wheelchair, and they're just gonna wheel out the lizard man for $1, and then they're gonna wheel you backstage, wipe the drool off your chin, and keep bringing it. I was like, all right, I'm cool with that. As long as somebody's wiping the drool off my chin, that'll be all right.
Right? No, as long as you have the respect. That's what I'm saying.
Well, hey,
I'd be that guy. I'd be wiping the drool off his chin.
If I don't know what's going on or where I am, what the fuck do I care anyway?
Interesting. It is interesting because I do feel like so a question I'm sure you asked a lot, but and I'm sure the answer changes every year. How much have you invested in the Lizardman, in yourself, in the body modification, price wise, the tattoos, your own personal time, opportunities you missed out and stuff? I'm sure you've calculated all that. You seem like a very A-type personality.
Well, here's the thing, like, you know, the me of today really wishes the me of yesterday was as on top of that stuff as I am today. It's something I had to learn and develop. Like, you know, I'm 52 years old, nearly 30 years of getting tattooed as of this year.
Holy
almost
shit.
30 years of performing. Yeah. So I mean,
what was your first tattoo? I'm sorry to interrupt, but what was your first tattoo?
Yeah, well, my first tattoo is this tattoo, the first session, because I didn't have it all designed out complete detail, but I knew
you started the Lizardman as your first tattoo thing.
Right. So I have black markings on my back that break up the scales, and they're one of the first things that I designed. So I went in and I got just one of them done because the idea was I got to get a tattoo before I know if I can get completely tattooed. Right. I'm just, at that point, I'm just some kid going, I'm going to tattoo my whole body.
That's so fucking crazy. Like, did you like?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
so you never thought about getting tattooed before that?
I thought about them, but here's it, because when I was 18 and I saw that Japanese tattooing book and I started thinking about it, and then I learned about tattooed people in circuses and whatnot, because I knew that I made a decision. Like, at that point, my brain clicked and it said, if I ever did this, it's got to be all the way. To me, in my brain, it only made sense all or nothing.
That's so fucking wild.
I didn't go for it till I was ready for all.
What other things like that besides the Lizardman are you like? That's what I'm saying. It's like there's got to be other Lizardman like things. Like I'm saying, like this is a manifestation of this like thought process. What other things are you like?
Right.
I'm the Lizardman.
Like some of the sideshow stunts and things that I do, and like my approach to performing is all about that. Where it's, you know,
it's all or nothing.
I don't do stuff, and I mean it's a different kind of all or nothing, but if I don't feel like I've got a version like we were talking about before, taking something that's an ancient art or stunt and making it your own in a modern context. So like if I don't feel I've got something real to contribute with my version of a stunt, I don't do that stunt.
What is stunts? What is the freak show thing? Like, because you obviously have this psychological idea about it. I mean, what do you believe in? Like, what do you think and here's the thing. I think it harkens back to Hercules and shit like that, where we do something that is mythical. You know what I mean? That is legendary and stuff like that.
And it's a very common modern take. Like that has become kind of the core of a lot of modern circus and sideshow is we are showing you that the impossible is possible. The limits that you perceive in the world and on yourself are only your perceptions. Like before you see somebody swallow a sword, you wouldn't believe it was possible. Well, now you've just learned that what you thought something was impossible and it's not. What else do you think is impossible that's not? How else are you restraining yourself? That's a very, like I said, it's a long running message throughout history, but it's very popular in modern sideshow. For me, like one of the biggest things when I started out though is like I am very much I'm very fond of myself. I try to be a reasonable narcissist, but here's the thing. I'm doing this first and foremost for me because I like doing it. I like knowing that I can swallow a sword, and I like showing other people that I can swallow swords, that I can put a fork in my nose, that I can snort a condiment in my mouth, that I can escape from a straitjacket. I like being someone who can do those things. I did those things in my living room to entertain myself when no one would pay to watch it. Now I'm lucky enough that someone will pay to watch it. So I do it for the people who pay to watch. I'm never going to stop doing these things because I simply enjoy doing them. Just like a dancer will dance at home with no one watching because that's what they do. They dance. I am a sideshow freak. That's what I do. I see something sitting there and I go, oh yeah, I bet that'll fit my nose. Guess what? I'm shoving it in my nose, whether there's somebody here to see it or not. I don't care. I'm doing it for me. But I have learned and grown over time to appreciate the audience's role more and more, and to see that, because a lot of stuff didn't occur to me at first. I was just going out and doing things, like doing shows, performing like that. As people started to approach me afterwards and say things like, oh, that was amazing, or oh, how did you learn to do that? That's inspiring that you would do that, things like that. I realized that that was a tool that this could be used for, and I started to see the value of that and wanting to do that as well, as a way to hopefully inspire people. Is one of my favorite things, or one of my favorite stories, is this dude who, he came up to me after a show, and of course I didn't remember him because I have a horrible memory for, unless I get like a line, I meet so many people. But he came up to me, he told me how he saw me when he was in college, and this was and this is years ago. But he came up again. He explained he'd seen me in college. He's so great to see me again. I was like, oh, thanks. He's coming. He's a little family. And then, but as he's taking off, he goes, you're kind of the reason I started my own business. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, after that show, I saw you in college like that. He goes, you were so all about like, hey, if I can, tattoo my body green, come out here and be a success, like, you don't have to go this far. It's easy if you just go out there, do it, take the chance, put the work in, whatever. And he's like, yeah, you kind of pushed me over the edge a little bit, maybe gave me a little part of the kick I needed. So I started a business, took a risk, and he was doing great, whatever. I was like, man, that is I'm never going to live that down. Like I look at me, I'm telling you this story right now. I am riding high off this. Jeez, what was that guy?
Well, here's my
Like a
thing, man.
decade
I
later,
hope you know that you were that way for me, honestly. Like when I was a very young kid, I saw the Lizardman, and I mean, you were just, and also because they gave you a chance to actually talk about your philosophy and stuff. And it's like, oh, Lizardman went to college. The Lizardman decided he didn't want to go to college, and that was just
Right.
made like, I don't know, man. It's like everybody has that kind of thing, but it's like, if people don't understand what the Lizardman is, I hope that they understand a little bit better through this interview, because I'm not shocked at all that you're so fucking deep and well spoken, because I've always known that you had a philosophy about being the Lizardman and stuff. And it's and honestly, the way that you look at body modifications is how I've always looked at stunts and stuff, where it's like, oh, you can do one thing, I guess, like you can be that person that's so shocking, but it's like it
Right.
seems like you prefer to be the person that is doing things out of reason. And I think that means
it's
more.
this is something that an old sideshow performer told me, and it is held very true. He goes, when you get out there, he goes, yeah, it's all great to tell the crowd, oh, we're gonna get crazy, we're gonna get wild. He goes, but you can't compete with crazy. He goes, I'm going up there and I'm sticking needles through my cheeks because I'm showing like, oh, I can do this. I've learned to do this. He goes, there's crazy out there who will just hurt themselves. Right? You don't want to get into a crazy competition with a crazy person because they will beat your ass every time. So if you're relying on crazy and you're not the craziest motherfucker in the world,
And the world will always shit out a crazier person than you, because the world keeps on devolving.
We're making crazier people every fucking hour in this world.
And the
right
Lizardman and me are like helping that. As I'm saying, it's like the more that we fucking are ourselves, the more that the world will become us. And it's just it's like, and I sit around and go, that's what I'm saying. What I love about the Lizardman is that his heart's in the right place, and that's where my heart's at. And it's like, if I believe in myself and I believe in what I'm doing, I think that everything will work out eventually, and I do think that that's kind of your message, is that dude, your thought process is fucking phenomenal. So have you ever thought about moving past, not moving past, but is Freak Show what, like, you're, because I feel like, have you not written a book yet? Because I do feel like even not even the Lizardman, the Lizardman philosophy.
I self-published a book of articles that I wrote for BME back in the day, and I re-edited them. Actually, it was one of my COVID projects.
Can we
I
buy it?
re-edited it. Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's called Once More Through the Modified Looking Glass. It's on
let's
Amazon.
see.
It's available for Kindle.
Let's see. Amazon once
There's
more
actually
through
there's
the
a link on
modified
there's a
looking
link
glass.
there's a link on my webpage, thelizardman.com.
I went through your webpage. All I could find was the t-shirts and the socks.
There should be you should see a picture of me like sitting down. That's the book cover, and if it clicks on that, it should go to Amazon.
Once more through the modified looking glass, because I'm trying to find it on Amazon. So is it under your? Should I look up your real name?
Yeah, you search for Eric Sprague and or the Lizardman. One of those two should pop it up.
There we go. Once more through the modified looking glass. It's on Kindle. Can I get a hardcover?
No, there's
paperback 29.
I can't set that one up for paperback on Amazon because I did it as a print on demand paperback when I first put out the original edition, and there's some weird thing with that the licensing that I got to sort out. But like so Amazon won't do it because it thinks it's infringing on the old print on demand, which isn't even active anymore. And I'm like, but I'm the author, I own the whole thing, so I've got to argue with them to be able to do hard copies. So right now it's only available on Kindle. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just bought a copy. Let's see if it goes through, and we'll figure out together. Because then let's bitch at Amazon. We'll figure out together. Let's see. Proceed to checkout. We'll figure it out. 1 second. Nobody can see this.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if it does it, that's actually great news, and I will start telling people, hey, if you want hard copies, you can get hard copies.
That's kind of why I'm doing it. I'm like, if we can figure it out, that'd be dope. Because let's see. No, either way, sign in passkey. No, I'll buy it later. Either way. So, Mr. Lizardman, you gave us a shitload of time. You ran my other guests out of the studio, which is completely fine with me because I had some ideas. Basically,
I walked the room.
Nah, you didn't walk the room. You fucking. This is the room. This is my room. But so basically, my ideas were first off, we're gonna do a series where it's the Lizardman, and basically the A story is you solving human problems, and then the B story is you solving lizard problems. That's gonna be the Netflix series, but that's right. So we're gonna go back that. We're gonna scrap that. We're going to the comic book series. So basically, the Lizardman has all the powers of the lizards, right? So not only can you so first off, you can shapeshift and stuff. And you can also regenerate your fucking abilities. And so basically you're like an arcane, so you're kind of a demigod from the Sumerian eras, but you don't realize that yet. You're kind of just like living arcana through the first issue, and then you go to hell during the second issue. You get the powers from the fucking lizard god from the Sumerian times, and then you become a person that can not only shapeshift, but you can shapeshift into other people. And it's going to be really dope. So basically, you're going to be kind of a Constantine kind of character.
I like it.
You're down?
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds great. I was thinking, I'm kind of like a Moon Knight avatar for an old reptile god. I love that. Yeah.
No, so you're going to start off as a lizard man, but it's like you don't know why you're doing the lizard man stuff until, and it's like, oh, whatever. And then you're still doing the day job as a lizard man, but then gradually you're going on to higher things and stuff. Eventually you're going to go to hell to fucking fight the Sumerian god of the lizards. It's going to be very dope, and I'm so annoyed that DC left because he's the one that's going to be basically running all this shit for me. Trust me, I can figure this out. It's not a big deal. But Mr. Lizardman, what do you got to promote? Because I don't want to take any more of your time. Okay. I want to get you back in studio if you can, because I want to do some stunts for you. I want to show you my crucifixion.
I'd love to.
If people want to see this, and I'm only going to show it to the Lizard Man. Nobody else can watch this with me unless we're watching it with the Lizard Man, because this is a very old school Alonzo. All right, you down to watch it?
I am. Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, you guys are lucky. Thank you. Thank the Lizard Man.
I just say a quick promo. I'll just say I am at SeaWorld Orlando for all of September and October. I'll be making a couple of quick stops out, though. I'm headed up to Riot Fest later this month in Chicago. Catch me there with Hells a Poppin'. And on October 26th, I'm going to be in Atlanta, Georgia at the Black Strap Halloween Fest for my old friend Kyle Sanders, who had a great surprise this year. I remember seeing the news pop up. He's the bassist for Kerry King now out there like that. So this is his rehearsal hall down in Atlanta, throwing a little Halloween bash there.
Ace.
Go check out the Lizard Man on all of his socials. You can follow the Lizard Man on Instagram at the Lizardman 23. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, and there's links to everything at thelizardman.com.
Thelizardman.com. Go check out thelizardman.com. Hopefully he can find some time to be on the show later, but if he doesn't, thank you so much for doing this interview with us, man. You have no idea how much I appreciate it.
Like I said, when I get back to Austin after I run through these dates in November, let's figure out a time. I'll come down to San Antonio. We'll do it in studio.
Dude.
Ace.
You have no idea what that means. I'm going to fucking promote the shit out of it. But either way, dude, have a great rest of your week. I know you're busy. The Lizard Man's in Orlando. He's killing it for you motherfuckers. All right? Have a great rest of your night, man. Have a great day, okay?
All right. You too, brother. Later.
Thank you, sir. Stay safe. The fucking Lizard Man, guys. Oh, my God. DC was in. You guys got to go subscribe to his... that's going to be on the September 15th, October 15th, September 15th through October 15th. We're going to be supporting the fuck out of DC and his comic. And then the entire time until fucking Lizardman comes through, we're going to be following his schedule. And he's going to be in studio hopefully soon. We were talking about stuff. I'm going to re-listen to that and figure out what days he actually said. Thank you guys for tuning in. I tried to ask all the Lizardman questions, but I didn't want to keep on asking. We'll ask him in studio, man. You have no idea. He's going to be in studio. All right? That's going to be amazing. I'm going to show my freaking stuff. That's going to be a treat for everybody to see. Me used to be a freak show sideshow guy, and I'm going to try to impress the Lizardman with that. Hey, guys, it was Bad First Impressions. We're going to do it next week. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. All right. Stay safe. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you for supporting. Wait a second. Let me go back to this real quick. Buy a t-shirt. Go to badfirstimpressions.com. Buy a t-shirt. If you guys like the show, Cash App, BFI live at Cash App. But either way, man, have a great rest of your night. Stay safe. And let's go back to this. Stay safe.
Pay the front line, take the don'ts. He's coming out again for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. 4-4's the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, scraps, wants 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 4. Ace, deuce, ace, deuce, scrap, want 4. Scrap, want 4. Who wants the hard 4? 5 wants 4.
Check me out, chump.
9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 4, and he made it the hard way. Pay the front line, take the hard. You have a shooter and a good one. Coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. Wants to come. 6 to point.
Check me out, chump.
9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets. Place your bets. Who wants to come? 6 to point. Who wants to come? 6 to point. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
So funky. Check me out, chump.
8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. Who wants to come? hot. Nine a winner, got a hot hand, got a hot hand, hot hand. Nine a winner, got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Nine a winner, got a hot hand, got a hot hand, hot hand. Nine a winner, got a hot hand. Who wants to come?
Check me out, y'all.
Nine a winner, got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Nine a winner, got a hot hand. Place your bets, place your bets. Nine a winner, pay the front line, take the don'ts. He's coming out again for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. 4-4's the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, ace, ace, deuce, who wants to come? 6 the point, who wants to come? 6 the point, who wants to come? 6 the point. Play 6.
That's all, folks. That's all, folks. That's all, folks.